Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
You don't see the curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat.
It's guesswork.
Piecing up the puzzle, need to burst your bubble. Evil gonna crumble, yeah? Sit down, be humble. Got the ball, you better fumble. You get mad, cause I just fight about your uncle.
And then they call me the liar. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the pathetic techniques that they have to use to prove their heliocentric model.
Pops at the president, Jeran got the evidence. Arrows slaying Jesuits and Zack is evident. That the earth electric and it's resonant. Your residence is heavens and I hope to settle in like some sediment. If we so wrong, why they lying to discredit it? That's not too intelligent. That's a guy, not an in court, but we ain't really in the settlement. It's time to awaken from the pseudoscience sedatives.
GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Bye-bye, moon man and rubber. That's just so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster, but the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead. But your ball is
Inner World Productions.
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS, episode number 11, or season 11, episode 17. That's what I was trying to say. In my own way, it is called The Expanded South. I'm your host, Jeran from Jeranism. We've also got Zachary Zabala. Good times for all. Zach, what's up?
Jeran, what's going on, man?
Doing fantastic. Sorry, the screen's empty. It's going to come up here in a second. Give me a second. There we go. It's a little better for now. We can take any donations if you want. You can go to Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/globebusters. Or you can use the super chat arena. Go ahead. Sorry, Zach. I interrupted you.
No, just going to say a beautiful week here in the Carolinas. Just perfect weather. It's been awesome. Got a lot of outside work done. And then got my 6th book published on Amazon this week.
Very nice. Sales have been good? Has people been happy? Is it good?
Yeah, not too bad. Just got it out, I think, Thursday or Friday, maybe Friday morning. So, and usually on the weekend, you don't really get to see all the sales until Monday. Usually, it's weird, the whole Amazon thing, how you get to see the sales and all that stuff. So I'll know more next week. But yeah, if you're looking for children's books that have nothing to do with sexuality or perverted stuff like that, they just teach your child to go outside and observe the world around them. They're,
That's awesome. We need more of that. Everything else is, indoctrination, and rather than getting kids to open their mind and look at the entire plate, make decisions for themselves, it's against the rules. Don't want to do that.
It's crazy, man. The books that are out there,
Oh, if you've been to a library recently,
when David said it, but yeah, you go and watch these where the people get to go and talk to the school board, and they'll start reading some of these books that their children have brought home.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like, I would blush reading stuff like this. It's like, how are they allowing this in the
like high school? It's like so-and-so gave a hand job to so-and-so. And
yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on?
Put his penis in his mouth and this and that. And it's like, what?
And he got these euphoric feelings he never felt before. It's like, oh yeah, this is what we want to put in classrooms.
Yeah, this is what I want my 7-8-year-old
to
read. It's just insanity. So yeah, that's, we have to fight back any way we can against that stuff. And just, if we have to flood it with just good, pure, clean, education tools, and that's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see who's in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. And I didn't get, I know Austin has had us added to some other venues. What is it? Rumble, X. But I didn't get the details in time. I did get them right before the show, but because it's new to me, I'll have those next time I host. So we'll be on all those other platforms. For now, we are just on the YouTube and the Rockfin. So thank you for being here. Let me copy this and see who we got. In the chat, I see Cami in there. Cami, how are you? Glad that the title fixed for a while. I couldn't get the title correct because I just kept staying alone. And then I want to show a couple things that I've got, and then we want to talk about the South. I was thinking we could just recap why I think, or why we think that the South is an expanded area, looking at the Vendée Globe, which is coming up this year, and that boat race and records involved in that. Then we could look at Southern flights. And I wanted to show you this archive. I'll kind of start, well, I guess I can start there with this archive. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this site. It's called Trove. Don't know if you ever heard of that. I had not heard of it. Let me see if I can get a better screen here. This one will be good. So it's called Trove, and it's just a bunch of...
TROVE, like treasure trove?
Yeah, well, according to... it's trove.nla.gov.au. So I don't really know if it's a government site, but basically you can just search anything, and it'll bring up all kinds of newspaper articles from that exact search. And they come up really easy. You can read them really easy. It highlights things in here. So, like, for instance, I was searching jet streams because, of course, today we're told, you know, the speeds of them, and you never hear them talking about what they were talking about in the 50s and 60s. Of course, I have my beliefs around that. That's because they don't want people to know how fast the jet streams are. If they did, then a lot of the planes in the South would make sense on a different Earth. If you reduce the jet streams and tell people that they only move 100 miles per hour or 150, then people will be able to say to you, haha, the flat Earth can't be true because Southern plane flights. But then I go in and I say, well, if we use a higher number of, 200 miles per hour, which we do see sometimes, but you'll notice here, this is from Science Probes to Jet Streams. You'll see here, they are jet streams or fast-moving filaments of air with velocities of about 300 miles per hour. Well, you will not find anything today that says 300 miles per hour. They've gotten rid of that. However, I have tons of documents from the 50s and 60s saying upwards of 350 miles per hour. So what happened? Did the jet stream slow down, or did they erase them kind of from history, or erase them from the knowledge of their real speeds? Because once you put planes up there, and the planes all operate due to GPS, and basically the flight controllers can control when the planes get there. But if you had faster jet streams, then nobody really needs to know, right? It's just because planes are going to move further than you think, just because the speeds are faster. But if everything,
yeah, it seems like a lot of things changed in the 60s when NASA came about.
I agree.
And all that kind of stuff. It seems like the scientific journals and papers even really switched like what they're allowed to say and to talk about. Because, yeah, you're right. Before the 50s, you could find stuff on just about anything in newspaper articles and stuff like that. Giants, just pick a topic.
Right.
And there was something people were talking about it. And now, yeah, it seems like they've really cherry-picked what they're allowed to talk about. And then they just flood that.
Yeah, so I've kind of enjoyed going through this. I mean, anything you want to put in here, you can find information for. So like I said, I just searched Southern jet streams, and then it just brings up article after article like this, and you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking at. Cami has found the prevalence of jet streams an interesting but not serious problem. So you can kind of, and then just goes right there. So I like it because it's easy, it's free. So maybe people can start spending some time working on maybe searching some things in here that we haven't thought to search, because it does bring up newspaper articles, lots of them. Usually looks like 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah, .gov.au, is that Australian government?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So I'm sure if you put, let's put flat Earth. I don't even search it, but let's just see what happens. So I'm just searching flat Earth and see what we find here. If it wakes up, there we go. So yeah, I mean, the atmosphere for a flat Earth festival, some sort of flat Earth festival from wait, what is that? Oh, I don't know what the dates of these are. Oh, April 2002. Sincerely believe the Earth is flat. This is from January 1951. So, again, we're told nobody believed the Earth was flat until Eric Dubé showed up or something. There are countless people who sincerely believe that the Earth is flat. They are among numerous and vocal in America and England. There are fewer who declare their belief, although there is a act of parliament that backs up the flat Earth brethren. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So just what I just said there should cause us to have something to go look into. Now, people don't do research anymore. They just yell and scream and call each other names and misquote each other. But if we actually were back to doing research, these are so this is something to look up. There's an act of parliament that backs up the flat Earth idea. Some of the English engineering firms who were invited to tender for the construction of the Suez Canal declined because they thought it would be impossible to hold up huge sandbanks on the Earth's curved surface. I can't really read this. I guess I don't know what that says. Can you read that? Delete? I don't know. Oh, let me get closer. De Lesseps, the French engineer who finally did the job, assumed that the Earth was flat and conducted the canal accordingly. In consequence of this, an Act of Parliament was passed, the Railways Powers and Construction Amendment Act, and has not since been repealed, forbidding any engineer inviting to tender for the construction of railways or canals to make any allowance for the curvature of the Earth's surface. So,
Wow, in 1870.
so that's crazy. So this is the kind of thing that I think that this is a wealth of information here, and if people start pouring through here, you're going to find some interesting things. I found some great documents. Oh no, I know who it was. It was Alan sent me something. Maybe he. I don't think he read it last week, but let me bring these up. Alan was sending me these documents about Gauss, and let me show you if I combine them here. Yes, let me bring these up. Just more gravy all over the place. Let me find. Wait, wasn't it? Huh? Hold on a second. There was something here yesterday. I thought, what happened to it? Maybe it's further up. I didn't know. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay. So he sent me these couple images. This first one is, just to read this, I'll bring it over here so you can see it. You should be able to see that now.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So he just, if we read through this, it says the notion of intrinsic curvature was introduced by Carl Friedrich. How do you say that? Gauss? Gauss? What do you say?
Is it? How is it spelled?
G-A-U-S-S.
Oh,
you know.
yeah, Gauss.
Gauss. Okay. By Carl Friedrich Gauss in a seminal in geometry paper, Gauss 1880, dating back to 1837. Although the theory is arcane to psychophysicists, some of its consequences are relatively easy to grasp. Intrinsic curvature differs from extrinsic curvature. A flat piece of paper remains intrinsically flat when you roll it into a cylinder or cone, although its extrinsic curvature may change. Intrinsic curvature is evident from certain non-Euclidean properties of figures. One example treated by Gauss concerns the sum of interior angles of a triangle made up of a geodesic, shortest arcs, the Euclidean straight lines. In the Euclidean plane, the sum is 180 degrees. Any deviation, called angular excess, reveals the intrinsic curvature of the space. The excess is proportional to the area of the triangle. The excess per unit area, specific angular excess, is a measure of the intrinsic curvature. Notice that the physical dimensions is 1 over length squared. Thus, the inverse of the square root of the absolute value of the specific angular excess has a dimension of length. Gauss showed that it simply equals the radius in a simple case of a spherical surface. Here's a very simple example. Okay, get some math there. Oops. And I can't read this down here. Why is that being blocked by this bar? Weird. Over here, I'm reading. See if we go to this next one. And yeah, this one's good. Gauss was asked to perform geodesic measurements for his government, probably to increase the accuracy of military maps, and he used the occasion to measure angular excess of large triangles between mountaintops. He found values not significantly different from zero, and concluded that physical space is flat for such extents. We decided to follow his lead, and determine the angular excess of triangles of various sizes in visual space. From such measurements, it is a simple matter to find the intrinsic curvature of visual space. Oops, I don't know if I can see this other one over here. Oh yeah, that's the last one. Yeah, that was, so that's pretty crazy. And then this is, let's see, is it this one here? I don't know why this is blocking me. I can't see. I guess because I'm on, oh, it's just a Telegram reader. It's just hard to see. So it says, according to Gauss, this equals the curvature averaged over a triangle. 1 over the square root of its curvature equals 6378, which is the radius of the globe. Thus, we obtain the radius of the Earth from a directions of the cities as seen from others and from the area of the triangle. Notice that the specific curvature is small. For instance, the excess in an equilateral triangle with sides of 1 kilometer is only 0.0002 seconds of arc. Locally, the Earth is quite flat. So, again, that's interesting. Let me get on this one. So I'm sure there's tons of things that we could find in this page. Again, the address, if you didn't hear me, is trove.nla.gov.au. So this is flat earth theorist speaking recently in London. This kind of stuff that's hard to find nowadays. I mean, they really have scrubbed the internet of a lot of the stuff that we used to be able to find. Let's see if you guys can see what I'm seeing. Yeah. So we got speaking recently in London at something Exeter Hall.
Yeah, Exeter.
Is water level or convex? Dr. D. Evans, Vice President of the Universal Zetetic Society, said that if we lived on a globe 25,000 miles in circumference, the declivity of the first mile would be 7.8, which every man knew was not a fact. If there was a curvature in the Suez Canal, then the Red Sea end of it would be 1 mile 270 feet below that of the port side end, or port said end, which was manifestly impossible. On the other hand, the Earth, as seen from a balloon, was shaped like a saucer. Lady Blunt occupied the chair, and the proceedings were opened by a prayer that the Almighty would open the eyes of the men of truth, which the Zetetic Society was trying to teach. So I think there's just a, I mean, and again, I don't even know how many pages of results there were. Does it say
I've heard that name before, the Blunt.
Yeah, Lady Blunt
Lady
was
Blunt?
Lady Blunt was the head of the Zetetic Society for a while. I think
Was she the one that went to Antarctica?
I believe so. Is that the one? I remember hearing a story about somebody who
The
went.
dogs.
Yeah, and then they only found a note. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
something
know if
like
that's
that.
her. Is that what they say that she died doing? I don't know.
I
what
believe
that
so.
is. Let me look
Like
it
that
up.
was the last they had heard from her, and they found her sled and a note on the sled or something like that.
It said I
that
found
was
it or
it.
something. I thought I heard that
Yeah,
too, but it was in
That's
a.
all it said was
I
I found it.
I thought it was in a mockumentary. But that's why I didn't know
It
what
could
the
have been.
truth of that was. But,
Yeah, I just remember hearing that name, and there was a story to it about Antarctica.
I wonder what it says on. I'm going to look at Wikipedia just to see what it says her death was. Oh no, it just says Blunt died in Hayling Island, off the coast of England. And why do I remember hearing that too? I wonder if anybody knows in the chat. Can you let us know who we're talking about that died on a snowmobile or something? Right, and there was a note they found on the snowmobile. Is that which one you're talking about, Zach?
Yeah, it was either snowmobile or snow dogs.
I don't know why.
One
I
of the
thought that.
two.
Yeah, I think it's in that one documentary that I've seen before, but I just looked up. I don't see anything coming up. I don't see anything. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody knows what we're talking about. I think it was in that mockumentary. I don't even remember the name of it. The mockumentary actually had some great points in it. That one that I think Leo Ferrari was in it, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, there's lots of articles here. I was trying to see how many pages there are to see if it just goes on. Yeah, I mean, you can go to page 9. So I mean, that is just a ton of stuff, all from various dates. Here's 1922. Should be welcomed by a small band of Zetetics. Let's see here. So there's so much stuff to research on this just alone. Since the death of the prophet John Dowie, says the London Sunday Observer, little has been heard of the religion he founded, but it still has a big following in the United States, where the founder's successor, Wilbur Voliva, which we've heard that guy, he's the one who was the head of Zion, I believe is the name of the city, is a king. Oh, here we go. Right here. Is a king in miniature in Zion City, Illinois. For some time, Voliva has been devoting himself to purging the science of astronomy from its heirs, and he just issued an edict commanding that in the future the theory of the flat earth shall be taught in the schools of Zion City. The city, he declares, is a vast solid dome. The sky, he declares, is a vast solid dome from which the sun, moon, and stars are suspended, apparently on rods, and this dome is supported by an enormous wall of ice, which everywhere enclosed the flat earth and incidentally prevents anyone tumbling over the edge into space. This definite step in support of the flat earth theory should be welcomed by the small band of Zetetics, as the flat earthers call themselves in this country. Oops, trying to scroll down, not there. There we go. Where are we at? In this country is where I left off. Okay. I don't know where I was. Oh, here we go. Rods support. Okay, the definite step should be supported. Zetetics, flat earthers call themselves in this country. Mr. H.G. Ponting, who has circumnavigated the world 3 times without discovering this ice wall, and who accompanied Scott on his last Antarctic expedition some time ago, received an abusive letter from an English flat earther protesting against certain proofs he gave of the Earth's rotundity in one of his lectures at the Queen's Hall. "You ought to be shot," declared the writer, "for telling people that the Earth is round when, as a traveler, you know it's flat." Very wisely, Mr. Ponting declined to discuss the matter with his correspondent. So, I mean, again, when they do make it seem like there's none of these conversations going on, yet they looks like from just what we've been reading from mid 1800s, there was a conversation happening. Looks like they're going to get into the Bedford level, which is very noteworthy, I think, and what happened in that whole case. And again, I always bring this up. I don't know if people really realize it, but because of the connection with Alfred Russel Wallace, you won't ever even hear that name. I'm guessing if I asked most people, "Hey, do you know who Alfred Russel Wallace is?" they would say no. And the thing is, he's actually more important to the evolution than Darwin. But because he got involved in the flat Earth debate, they don't like to mention his name. He kind of got, well, and he also was against vaccines, which is another reason they wouldn't want to mention his name. But, if you go here, died in 1913, English nationalist, explorer, geographer, anthropologist, biologist, illustrator. So it says here, he independently conceived of the theory of evolution through natural selection. So, I mean, if anybody was asked who came up with the theory of evolution through natural selection, every single person would say Darwin. And yet it's not. It's this guy, Alfred Russel Wallace. So in his 1958 paper on the subject was published that year alongside extracts from Charles Darwin's earlier writings on the topic. It spurred Darwin to set aside the Big Species book he was drafting and quickly write an abstract of it, which was published in 1859 on the origin of species. Was, by the way, Origin of Species, the most expensive book I ever owned was the Origin of Species. I forgot what we sold it for, but we had a second edition Origin of Species. I want to say it went for like $1,300 or something. I don't remember. Anyway, Origin of Species. Wallace did extensive field work starting in the Amazon, blah, 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 blah. See if it even mentions I'm sure it will, but it'll be way down here. Early life. It's just so funny how they just erase people from history because they don't like things that they got involved in. I wonder if they'll even mention the anti-vax books and stuff. Let's see, Return to Britain, financial struggles, social activism, further scientific work, death, theory of evolution, natural selection. It's going to be at the very bottom. Oh, and by the way, he got involved in a little bit he shouldn't have. Differences between Darwin and Wallace. Wallace effect, application of theory of humans, assessment of Wallace's role, other scientific contributions. Are they going to mention the he's against vaccine? They just leave it out. Not in there at all. Spiritualism. Wallace was an enthusiast of phrenology. I don't even know what that is. Earlier in his career, experimented with hypnosis, which, by the way, Zach, you believe in hypnotism, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I can be hypnotized.
No, I don't think I can either.
I absolutely believe that it does work on some people.
Yeah, I believe that too, 100%. In fact, there's like a thing that happened to me in my life that couldn't have been set up really or planned. And that was that when I was I want to say I was 16 or 17, my parents went to Reno. And of course, I couldn't gamble, and that sucks for kids to go there. And you're not old enough. So my parents were like, "Well, you can go to a show each day. Pick a show, we'll send you the show." So I went to a hypnotism show, and because I was alone, they put me at a table towards the front with a family. There was a family of like 5 there, a mom, a dad, two girls, and a guy. And then there's each table had 6 seats, so they just put me at this seat at this table with this family. So the kid, when they say, okay, we want to start taking people who might want to be on stage, come up, and this kid was about probably, I don't know, 20s or something. And he was telling his parents he wanted to go up there, and they were telling him, no, don't do it. And he's like, no, I just want to go over. And they're like, no, don't do it. And so he finally got up and walked over there, and they were talking about it, why is he doing that? He doesn't listen to us, whatever. So he's in line, he gets interviewed. Well, he ends up getting picked to go on stage. So now his parents are kind of like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be funny. So I'm kind of into it because I'm at the table with them and I'm able to, conversate, hear what they're saying. And so he ends up being the one who makes it all the way to the end, and he's walking across broken glass and not hurting his feet. I mean, his parents are visibly distraught over the whole thing. And then they say, hey, we're going to send you back to your seat, and you're not going to know that you did any of this. You're not even going to know that this happened to you. And then when I snap my fingers and say this magic word, then you'll remember that it was you who was up there. So they send him down. The kid comes and sits next at the table, and I remember his parents the most weird look on their face because they're looking at him scared because he just did all this stuff. Now he's sitting at the table. He doesn't even know he just did it. And the guy snaps his fingers, and the guy kind of jerks too, and then looks up on screen and sees himself walking across it. And it was this craziest moment. I just realized, I was like, oh my God, that there's nobody else in that whole arena would have gone through what I did just because I was sitting at the table with them. So I could even see where I'm telling certain people might be like, oh, it was all planned. It was all an act or something. But no, I think some people can be hypnotized, and I think you can do crazy things, forget about pain, quit smoking, stop eating as much. I think a lot of that stuff is possible for those that can be hypnotized.
Mass hypnosis.
Hypnosis is for sure possible. Very possible.
Have you ever seen the Darren Brown show?
Yeah, I've seen him do some crazy stuff. You ever seen the one where they tell somebody in the audience to pull a gun? It's kind of creepy because when you start talking about FFs, if you know what I'm talking about, the FFs, that kind of cool flag that governments use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So but what they did is they had this guy, they gave him a unloaded gun in a theater and hypnotized him that when something was said that he was to stand up and shoot the gun. And he does.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, that is freaking scary. Yeah. But I think it's only some people can do that.
there was one where all he was doing, he had this thing playing just underneath the volume of music playing in a mall. You know, they'll have background music in the big giant malls.
Uh-huh.
And it was a voice that was just, you couldn't really hear it unless you really listened to it. And it was telling people over and over again that when you hear this certain noise, raise your right hand up into the air. No, I mean, they could have had, 50, whatever, 80 people just for this, doing this. But it was so eerie because as soon as he said it was going to happen, he's like, ready, and here we go. And then all of a sudden, all these people just stopped while they're walking and raised their right hand up for a second. And then they're all like looking at each other like, what are we doing this for? What's going on here? And then they put their arm down and started walking again.
So weird. So they do put at the end of this story, because you hear Flat Earth Wager talking about the Bedford Level experiment, which is the reason. I mean, you can just tell if this guy's. Why do we hear Charles Darwin's name constantly, but you never hear Alfred Russel Wallace? And then you'll see here the anti-vaccination campaign. So it says in the early 1880s, Wallace joined the debate over mandatory smallpox vaccination. He originally saw the issue as a matter of personal liberty, but after studying statistics provided by anti-vaccination activists, he began to question the efficacy of vaccination. At the time, the germ theory of disease was new and far from universally accepted. So notice that, because people think the germ theory is cemented of some type, right? But we're talking now just in the late 1800s, so it's barely 120 years ago, 140 years ago. And at the time, the germ theory was new and far from universally accepted. Well, if it was something as simple as, here, look, we can show you this germ, and when we introduce it to the cell, it gets sick, then there wouldn't be a question, right? People just are told that these things are easy and that they feel like they're just concrete and scientific. But again, go look into COVID, and was that ever separated and shown to be on its own? And like I said before, the one time I got my sister on the COVID thing, it was just hilarious, is I was trying to explain to her, like, look, if I can give you something, right? So we're talking to each other. If I can pass something from me to you that gets you sick, I said, then why can't they just put a screen between us and show what I'm passing to you? She's like, well, I'm sure they can. I'm like, no, they can't. Like, if they could do that, then you wouldn't need to stick a Q-tip up your nostrils to figure out if you have COVID or not. They just put here, Jeran, spit on this paper towel. We'll test it. So I was trying to, and she finally just kind of got it. She was first telling me, like, well, you're not a doctor. I'm not sure you can say those things. And although my sister's coming along, because she was at the baseball game on last Monday with us, and she said, she like leans back in her seat and she's like, hey, this whole thing with the astronauts being stuck on the ISS? I'm like, yeah. She goes, all fake. I'm like, oh, you think so? She's like, completely nonsense. She's like, come on, give me a break. So she's coming along. That's a big step for my sister. Big step. That's
awesome, dude. Yeah, hey,
such
baby
nonsense.
steps.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you got to do, right? Because if you kind of force it on people again by kind of laying off, she's kind of coming along, right? She still does think
7 years. It took my little brother.
Oh, yes.
He even mentioned the words flat Earth after I talked to him the first time about it, and he didn't even tell me. He told my mom. He's like, Mom, I think Zach's right about this whole shape of the Earth thing.
Well, I did hear my sister say one time, and she's like, well, her thing to me was, she's like, well, Jeran, I'm going to stick to my belief about the Earth because I think it's more likely that a bunch of physicists and astrologers, or astrophysics physicists, I think it's more likely that they're correct than a bunch of guys on YouTube. I'm like, oh, thanks for that vote of confidence. But then after COVID, she kind of said, well, I have to take that back now because
all the experts.
Oh boy,
kind of got that one totally wrong that time. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen with that? These guys in space? Because I kind of have an idea. It's my personal thought of it. Because I guess the latest is that they say they're going to send back the craft by itself or something. So my guess would be a great time to burn it up. And then it would have been like, oh my goodness, the astronauts would have been in there. They would have died. And then they can kind of get away from the idea of people needing to be in space. I mean, I think that's their ultimate goal will be, oh, we just need robots, right? Mm-hmm. Just because that's a lot easier to fake. Let's be honest. I mean, if you have to fake it with people.
Robots not going to come back and look like they just stole something.
No, they're
in an interview.
They're not going to sit at the post conference and look like their dog just died. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think it's just such garbage nonsense. Like it would ever happen that way, and like you would, they're borrowing each other's clothes. And it's just so stupid. There's so many problems with the ISS as far as who cleans it. I mean, we've had people that are on submarines say it's like a crew of like 15 people working nonstop to keep the submarine clean. Yet there's only 3 people on the ISS for like 6 months at a time. Who the hell's cleaning it? Think how disgusting that would get.
Would be so disgusting.
Oh, it'd just be disgusting. Yes. All right, so I wanted to, how did I get on the subject? I forgot. Oh, yeah, but that's Alfred Russel Wallace. He's the guy that did the Bedford level. I got on there from the newspaper back there. So, it talks about the Bedford level. I wonder if the story's the same as it is now, but I'd have to read that after. Anyway, there's lots of things here. Again, it's trove.nla.gov.au. So if you wanted to search things on here, I'm trying to think of other things we could just search real quick that might tell us something. We looked up southern jet streams. I'm trying to think of something that would help us with the expanded south, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So we'll come
What
back
about ice wall?
Oh, there's going to be a ton of that. I mean, that's for sure.
There's got to be.
They actually called it, I bet you if I searched the Great Barrier, is what it was originally called. They didn't think you could get past the Great Barrier, which doesn't sound much like a continent to me. Let's see what we get for ice wall. The Atlantic ice wall. What the hell is that? The chief mate of the ship Prankos, which arrived in New York. Let me try the Majestic ice wall. In a letter to Professor Edgington Davis, a member of the British Antarctic. Let's check this. I mean, there's so much stuff here. So if people like researching, please go here and see what you can find. Send me anything that you come across. Looks like there's just a mountain of stuff. In a letter from Professor, I cannot read that. And Professor Edgeworth Davis, a member of the British Antarctic Expedition, now seeking a way towards the South Pole, addressed to Professor W.J. something, there occurs a vivid description of the great Antarctic ice barrier, which was reached by the little ship Nimrod on January 23rd. It is a sight, says Professor Davis, that beggars all description. Imagine a continuous ice wall, 500 miles long and 100 to 200 feet high. It's the exquisite blue of the crevices, contrasting finally with the dazzling white of the weathered ice on either side of them. They followed the barrier 90 miles without finding a place where they could establish a base. Balloon Inlet, used as base by expedition of 1901, had completely disappeared. Finally, they went to McMurdo Sound as the only base now available. So there's tons of stuff there, but yeah, they call it the Great Barrier. Let me look that up real quick. I bet you we'll see a bunch about that. I've seen it in a lot of books, which is funny.
Well, there's no ice wall.
Right,
Jared.
you've got still flat Earth. I mean, still Globe Earthers saying that there is no ice wall. We're making it all up. When even if you go to Wikipedia and search, I believe ice shelf. If you search Ross Ice Shelf, I believe is where I go to get there. It will show you the coast, and it will show you how much of the coast is ice wall. Let's see if we go Ross Ice Shelf, and then I believe I come down here. Oh, I have that highlighted for some reason. Why did I highlight that? I'll just read this. Amundsen wrote, along its outer edge, the barrier shows an even flat surface, but here inside the bay, the conditions were entirely different. Even from the deck of the Fram, we were able to just observe great disturbances of the surface in every direction. Huge ridges, blah, 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 blah. The greatest elevation lay to the south in the form of a lofty arched ridge, which we took to be about 500 feet high on the horizon, but it might be assumed that this ridge continued to rise beyond the range of vision. This connection always haunted our brains. What would it be like? A high perpendicular face of ice up to which we should have to haul our things laboriously with the help of tackles, or a great and dangerous fissure which we should not be able to cross without going a long way around. We naturally expected something of this sort. This mighty and terrible monster would, of course, offer resistance in some form or the other, he wrote. The mystic barrier, all accounts without exception, from the days of Ross to the present time, had spoken of this remarkable natural formation with apprehensive awe. It was as though one could always read between the lines the same sentence. Hush, be quiet, the mystic barrier. 1, 2, 3, and a little jump, and the barrier was surmounted. So then you go down here to ice shelves, and I believe there's a, right here. Isn't it in here? Damn, I thought there was a list of, here we go. List of Antarctic ice shelves. So this is for anybody telling you that there's no...
They've got them named.
Yeah, they got them all named. Ice shelves are attached to the large portion of the Antarctic coastline. Their total area is blank. The names are also listed in this. So, I mean, if you get in here and look at the ice shelves, you're talking about a good majority of the side here. All this. So it's funny because you still have globe earthers pretending that there's no ice wall, where like, show me pictures, and you just search Antarctic ice wall. There's like tons of them. So yeah, all these different ones here. So that's interesting. I did want to show a couple of weird or let me bring up a different screen here to make this a little easier. So what I want to show here is just some stuff I was going through that I forgot to ever bring up, but I found some very good. I was searching refraction time lapses. Turn that down. Just because I think it tells you why we can't take the horizon ever. I mean, it's like, what did I hear this week? People were talking about, oh, the horizon drops, and therefore we're on a globe because if we look out from a mountaintop or something, that the horizon line is lower than eye level. And it's like, okay, yeah, but every one of those you look at, and you can tell that the horizon is like being lowered due to whatever it is, refraction. I don't know what, many things could be causing that. But it certainly isn't a place that you could even measure to, right? So what are you talking about?
No,
it's
you
like,
can't.
No. And this proves why you can't. And then the next one I have, it really proves why you can't. And I think it's very telling. I mean, look at that. Whoa. Look at the changes. Can you imagine that? Look at that.
That looked like the land just had like a tremor worm going underneath it.
So again, if you were trying to measure anything, if you saw something over here, we're trying to look at it, trying to see it over the surface of the water. I mean, you have so much miraging here and doubling. Look at this up here. Look at this growing.
What?
It's kind of freaky.
Yeah, it is. No, Brian Mullins, as soon as he said that, it just clicked with me. You can't measure things optically, not efficiently.
Like that. No, not like that. No. I mean, if something, you're really close to it or something and you can actually tell. Look at that. It just took over like it was a wave. I mean, we just saw so much of this coastline. Now we don't see any.
That is crazy.
Look at this. This water went up as high as these trees. So if you think this one's crazy, watch this next one. This is, oh, look at that. There's that tremor you're talking about. That's nuts. But this one here is even crazier. So let's start and watch. Okay, here. So the drawing here is roughly eye level, the green line. Okay. So just think about it. Any boats that we would see would be below the green line, obviously. Somebody swimming would be below the green line. Okay, so let's go ahead and play and just watch as the day goes on. And we're going to see where the water is, I guess, filling up in the ocean, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, so picture there's a boat here that was before, a second ago, would have easily fit underneath that green line. Now, all of a sudden, what's going on?
Oh, look at the land, too. Morphing.
Yep. Look at coming off here, this edge. Now watch this. Now we're going to see this water line is going to take over that green line. So now picture a boat, the same boat we just saw that would be under the line is now at the line. Let's keep watching.
Wow.
It's great. Smoochy says in the chat, optical delusions. All right, so we'll keep watching this. It's coming up here in a second where it gets crazy. It gets even crazier than this. And a little bit concerning. Look at that wave up here.
Yeah, and I mean, they knew this a long time ago. I mean, they haven't been trying to get, when you do your measurement with a sextant out on the water, they invented this thing, I think it was like the late, maybe 1670s or maybe 1570s. But it was the guy right before Foucault. And he called it the whirling speculum. He realized that if you spin something up real fast, it's going to hold its rigidity in space. He was the guy, I forget the guy's name, Searson, maybe? Something Searson? Yeah, the whirling speculum. If you look that up, you'll find this guy figured out that whole, like the gyroscope phenomena. But they did that, so when the boat's nice and level in port, they would spin the wheel up, and then when they're out at sea, that thing would still be nice and level. So then they would measure their sextant off of
that. Oh, got you. Off that's your baseline.
Yeah, to find level and zero.
Look at this.
They had a thing with mercury in it, and they were measuring because mercury always laid flat, something or other. Yeah, it was weird. They had a bunch of different devices to try to find the perfect way to measure level. And then that's when the guy came up with the whirling speculum, it's called.
Look at this.
Jeez.
I mean, this green line has not moved since we've been started. And now it's like, well, where's the water going? Up here?
Up the mountain? Yeah.
So I do think that, that this is easily explained or easily explains a lot of the boats behind the edge or behind the curve, which is not something you see every day, even though Globers will tell you that. That's one of the biggest problems with the Globe believers is that they pretend, and this is what we know about them, no glober is ever going to go out and do an experiment or a test and then post the results if they don't lean towards the globe. Because the theory has to be that the globe is unbreakable, that it's perfect, that everything ever measured. And I've even noticed that whenever there's like a mistake, you would think that if you're out doing tests all the time, that you would make mistakes sometimes. And one mistake might actually lead to a flat Earth consensus. But they pretend like that isn't even possible, right? Every mistake that's ever been made leads to globe Earth. So it's even the mistakes. They can't even admit that they make mistakes. It's like everything's perfect. Everything's always going to be lining up to the globe. I mean, I knew it for sure when I asked, what's his name? Rufy one time. I was saying something about why are no observations ever posted that show the flat Earth from a globe perspective? And he's like, that's because every observation we make does show the globe. Like, no, every observation you make shows the globe. Okay, then.
That's convenient.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just to make measurements of the horizon. I think is futile. It's just not going to get you anywhere or be able to show you anything. I mean, you can actually see that thing rise up. I'm just looking as I drag this across how much higher it gets versus where it starts. So that's pretty crazy. Let me see if I had one more of those. I thought I had one more of the refraction ones. Yeah, this one. Dusk over. Let me show you this one. Oh, this one was good too. I forgot this is Vimeo.
Yeah, I hadn't seen either of these two.
Yeah, no, I was just searching like in kind of obscure places and not searching the normal flat Earth channels. Oh, this is nuts, dude. This is nuts. Watch this. So I mean, I don't even know what to think about this. I mean, it doesn't matter. No, it continues me. All right. So one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press play here, and I want to show you that I'm gonna take it. Let me see. Where does it go here from here? Okay. So I'm gonna take it right about here. I'm gonna take a screenshot. So we'll say there as we start to see the lights come in. So we'll go there. It looks pretty normal. It stayed the same from here to here. Not a lot of change. Well, a little bit of change. Look at the water change.
Wow.
I don't know if people can see that. I'm actually kind of pulling it along. But let's just watch the whole thing first, and I'll show you what I can take a screenshot of. Because this is nuts. I mean, so look at it spreading out, expanding. Look at these lights. So now we're going to get a bunch of movements, cars going up and down these hills. But here's what's crazy. So if you just look at this picture here, and you look at these lights, so kind of pay attention to these two lights for me over here. I don't know if you can see where I'm at. Oh, you can't see that far. Well, let me move this over. Why won't you see that? Let me go here. That's good enough. Look at this part here. So look at these like lights over here. Looks like there's two and two or something kind of over there. And just watch that location as I pull this back, and you're going to see that they get eaten up and covered by water. So if you did a screenshot, those two lights are about here. Again, let's see where they were.
Wow, yeah. I got my mouse stuck on them.
So right about right here, this region.
Mm-hmm.
So right a little bit lower than that white box. And so, yeah, I mean, they're easily under the water. So that's crazy. Where are those lights during the day? I mean, you can't see them until this kind of expands out. And then if you look over here, the same thing is going to be true. So if we... Stop doing that. So if we kind of watch these, I don't know, this set of lights here at the ground, maybe the lowest ones we can see, and then kind of pull this back. You got them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are like here.
Wow, yeah. Even a little bit lower, just a hair lower even.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I just wonder how many, and then if you think about it, when you go out and make observations, for the most part, you're not going to be able to determine these kind of things, right? So,
no, because it's happening over such a long period of time.
Right. So, I mean, when we go out and do mirror flashes, or when we go out and look at the Monterey Bay, I mean, it's always, we might be out there for 4 or 5 hours, but you can't tell a minute change like that. You would have no idea.
And no, with your eye, the human eye, I mean, you're not really seeing all that great. It's a teeny tiny line on the horizon.
So what would you say, I guess, of... is refraction, so it's caused by the temperature or the density layers, right? So would you expect it to be greater or lesser at night? I mean, I'm guessing there would be less changes at night, wouldn't there be?
Yeah. So when the air and the water is closest
in temperature, right?
In temperature, you're going to have the least amount of refraction. So, yeah, depending on where it is, how cold the water is, all that kind of stuff. Really, it would depend. I always knew in Lake Michigan, March was the best time to go get pictures. March and April, right around there. Because the water and the air is just about the same in the 30s. and you could just see forever.
That's just crazy how that unfolds like that. Just nuts.
Hello, guys.
Iru!
How you doing? Sorry, but I'm here on the mountains and internet is completely gone.
You sound quiet. You sound like you're inside of a large porpoise or something.
Yeah, well, that is my microphone from my computer.
Ah.
I don't have my professional, in that way. Microphone is terrible, right? My audio.
It's okay. It's just a little quiet. So, do you have anything for the South that you want to talk about? The expanded South? Anything you want to cover? I don't know how long you have with us.
First, I want to share. I don't know if you know about the technique called nauscopy.
Mouse copy? No.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the link here on the chat section.
Okay.
Because it's related with this. It's just something that a follower sent me a couple of weeks ago. And
Okay.
I forgot it. You need maybe or find the English link on Wikipedia or maybe translate it. But basically, it's a technique used for the ancient cultures to detect, not ancient in terms of 2,000 years ago, a couple of hundred centuries ago.
Okay.
It's a technique for detecting ships between 300 and 900 miles away without any telescope.
Okay. What's it called?
Yeah,
And you say there's a Wikipedia version of it?
I send it here on the
Okay.
chat.
Let me bring it up for you. One
Like
second.
chat.
Yep. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up.
It's it's one of those things to read it a little bit and maybe take some ideas.
Okay. In chat, I see this one. Noscopia. So you say there's an English version. Where do you get to the English? I don't know how to do that. Oh,
No, maybe you just
Search it? Do you know?
Search it. Or
Do you know what the English word
just-
is, or is there an English word for it? Oh, the art
assume
of
that
seeing
there's-
ships, or the art of sensing ships, the science
Yeah.
of noscopia, or of far-off vision. I love Iru. This is why I love Iru. This is some good stuff. I also found a Library of Alexandria paper from 1869, the science of noscopia. What are the chances? You know what I just brought up? It brought up that same site again. I've never even seen it in my life, and now it just brought up Trove. That's hilarious. That was the first result. Oops, you can't see the screen. Let me bring it back up for you. Browser. There we go. So this is the science of noscopia. In March 1785, there appeared in Paris a man by the name of Botanieu with a grand discovery. He announced that he had found out, by means of perceiving the approach or the passage of ships at distances extending as far as even 250 leagues. According to his own account, he had accidentally perceived some 20 years before, being then employed in some civil capacity at the Isle of France, that certain phenomenon in the heavens indicated the approach of ships. What the hell? After an immense number of observations, failures, and uncertainties, he had arrived at a method of reading these indicators, of what kind he has declined to state, which, though from a nature of the case is not quite certain, was yet so nearly correct as that out of 155 predictions of the arrival of ships, more than half, as he asserted, were absolutely correct, while a large part of the remainder were subsequently proved to be correct, so far as the passage of ships on the days. So give me your take of it, like your overall view.
Okay, no, because you are reading just the article, but
Yeah.
here on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, please, I'll find that. But go ahead and tell me your opinion.
Yeah, no, my opinion is here. He said I'm going to translate live from Spanish to English, but he said
Okay.
the new was able to see ships in a distance between 300 and 900 miles of the coast without any telescope. And at that time, he was an engineer, and a lot of people from the government and Marines and things like that, from French, I assume, they trying to hire him to, military purposes. And it says, let me just, because I am looking for translated to English, so I don't.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the same thing here.
Yes, and before
Spelled a different way a lot of times.
What?
I see it spelled a different way a lot of times. It's hard to tell if it's Noscopia or Noscopia. Does it have an
Yes,
R in there?
but-
Does not? Yeah.
Yeah, but the bottom line, I mean, this is another technique, maybe like the mirrors technique, things like that.
Yeah.
Supposedly, he used the weather conditions, the stars, the wind, the clouds, to identify some distortions in the far away atmosphere, to say, okay, there is ships coming. But the bottom line is that you cannot see, like
Right.
900 miles behind the curve and see how the weather pattern change, and then become with the idea that there is some ships coming into the coast. But I just drop it here on the comment section just for another those things, like maybe there is something that maybe we don't know because we are not in this
Right.
round of strange things.
In what year was this? The 1800s?
Yeah, maybe even late 1700s.
Yes, here I have in the I translate the entry in Wikipedia. And,
Okay.
it's just it's yes, 18th centuries. Yeah.
So funny when you can't find this stuff when it's like missing, because I'm noticing here that a bunch of it's missing. I read here, the little we know about Botnoux's time in France was compiled over 100 years later, who reported that Botnoux had contacted the Secretary of State of the Navy and had been put to the test over a period of 8 months. He would have made 62 predictions regarding 155 different ships throughout, only making 2 mistakes, and thoroughly impressing local authorities. He was allegedly offered 10,000 livres d'argent, roughly 150,000 pounds today, and an annuity of 1,200 livres, which is 18,000 for his secret, which Botnoux refused on the grounds of wanting to present his discovery in Paris. Once in Paris, he was asked to write an academic report on the question, which is much harder than it sounds, as any Whipple library visitor will be able to tell you. The report apparently never made its way to the Secretary of State and instead fell into the hands of journalists, with the results we already mentioned. A transcription of the letter published 1833 would represent the only evidence of possible interest from French officials. The letter in question was allegedly written by famous politician Jean-Paul Marat to his friend Mr. William Daly, and indicates that he would have been interested to know much more about this art of noscopy. The results of the legal proceedings and the full memoir produced for the inquiry remain unknown. Botnoux himself claimed that he was not looking for fame, born in obscurity. I feel that my greatest joy would be to never leave it, and it seems that he almost got his wish. Sometime after 1786, he left France and sank into anonymity. He apparently returned to Mauritius, where he may have taught his art to a Falafel, who allegedly met French naval officer Jules Dumont. See, I believe in all this stuff, man. I think there's all this stuff, and it's so easy for them to erase it and just keep it, all this kind of technology or anything that they would have, not technology, but knowledge even. His death date was, as it remains, uncertain. The Scots Magazine announced in October 1802 that Mr. Botnoux, the inventor of a method by which the approach of ships at sea may be discovered at much greater distance than can be discerned, died lately in great misery at Poncherry, adding in it that he had been sailing with the French fleet. Maybe Nelson would not have won, in reference to the French defeat of the Battle of the Nile. The announcement may have linked to Leroy's in the Decade Philosophy the same year, in which he laments the loss of our inventor. So yeah, it does sound like something that did work. He wrote that he
That's
had
crazy.
he had in fact met Botnoux in Mauritius in 1832, at which point the noscope would have been around for 96 years. It was only
And
after
he
he had left.
never
He didn't. I don't know if he gave it
told
up.
anybody how he did it.
I'm looking at a paper here. Oh, let me move it where you guys can see it. This is a piece of something. They're showing here.
The curve of the earth.
I love the curve.
I love it. Look at it. Seeing these boats in the sky is great. Better understood from the next diagram, which represents the actual progress of the rays from the ship concealed by the observer. So basically, you could just see them. It's basically what I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that is the amazing thing. I mean, is this one of the things that people don't remember anymore? You just live in the past.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
There is, it's another if you want to see in the way evidence.
Well, I know that there's a question about whether Antarctica, whether there's questions of whether the Titanic sunk or was it another boat, or there's all those different questions, and I certainly don't believe the mainstream story. But I will find that I was going to do a video called the globe sunk the Titanic, because in their story the reason that the Carpathian, or is it the Californian, one or the other, whichever one was just sitting close by and supposedly let it sink because, well, the whole story is that they looked out and they saw a boat sending distress signals, and they said they looked at their manifest and they looked at the location of ships, and the Titanic was like way too far. So like, well, it's not that boat because it can't be that close. So they just sat there and let the whole thing go down, and then they realized after that it turned out it was the Titanic, which means that you could see way further on the ocean than you think. So, I think because they thought, well, they have to go by the mathematics that are given for the Earth. Well, they looked at it and said, well, that can't be the Titanic sending those distress signals. They didn't know what it was. So they just kind of went to bed. Or they even said that they didn't even know it was distress signals because they were too low. Well, it's because they were low because when things get far away, right? Think about if you're launching distress signals. Well, the further you are away, the lower that flare will be seen. So the boat was so far away and the flares were so low that they just said, well, that can't be possible yet, even though it turned out to be correct. So I don't know I don't know if people's belief is that there's nothing like that happened, or if whether it was the Olympian that actually was sunk and it was more of an insurance scam. And then also because a bunch of people supposedly died, famous people.
Yeah. Rich, famous people, like really wealthy, like people that were going to fight the Federal Reserve.
Right. That's the thing. So that's why I don't like the whole story that just makes it sound like it all was nothing. What do you think, Eero?
No, I have a few video articles talking about, not made by me, but for friends of mine, who talks about the scam of the Titanic. And of course, I think the most related thing is the presence of banker of
the banking thing,
first, on that first and only.
And the story about the Titan, right? There's a story that was written, a book that was written way before, I don't know how far before, but it was called The Titan, and it was about a ship that was traveling from those exact locations, and it sank at the exact same location. It's always funny how they always seem to follow these scripts from these books. It's crazy.
Yeah, there is a lot of stories always related. It's like it's the old machine of pre-programming,
right?
Like we have today in movies. But yeah, the Titanic. I mean, there is a scam in terms of there wasn't the original Titanic, I believe, because
I believe that too. The Olympia.
The chimeneas. I don't know how to say chimeneas, where the pipes where these
smokestacks.
Yeah. Yeah, supposedly Titanic has 4. And the ships, when leave the coast, only works 3. And you have a lot of tiny Easter eggs, at least to to say, well, there was a super great business for Morgan, because he keeps the original boat. He sent old boat. He sink the old boat and take with them take with it the bankers and a lot of other stuff that maybe we don't know. But it was impossible to sink that ship if you don't make an explosion from inside.
Right. And they say it was like burning the whole time too. There was like something in the bottom going on. But yeah, you're exactly right. That it's probably probably a hole in it. And it probably was the other ship, the Olympian. And there's like no video of it too. If you go looking for video, this is why a lot of people get confused. But if you go looking for video, all the video is not of the Titanic. It's of the other ship. But yeah, so who was it? Isidore Strauss is somebody, right? That I think was going against the banking, and of course that happened.
Yeah, and also it was some guys that helped Tesla to implement some of this idea.
And then Morgan was supposed to be on the ship, right? And then didn't go. J.P. Morgan, which would have been.
And also, and not just that, I have if you want to, I can find it very quickly. But it was also a Jesuit involved.
Who? John Jacob Astor or no? Or who are you talking about?
No, a Jesuit.
Oh, Jesuit.
Give me 40 seconds.
Yeah, and then there's the other guy, Benjamin Guggenheim, right? He was on there. So was John Jacob Astor. Let's see what else we have here. So I'm looking at people. There's a designer of the Titanic, supposedly. Thomas Andrews. He's the one who's supposedly, I'm just going to smoke here and I'm going to go down with the ship or something. Military aide Archibald Butt died. Pastor John Harper. Canadian Railway executive Charles Melville Hayes. Broadway producer Henry B. Harris. And then there's a bunch of survivors. Go ahead. Did you get it? I don't know how we got onto the Titanic, but Titanic has always been one of my favorites.
Whoa. Okay, I got to get through some of these over on Rockfin. Time Months with $100 tips. That's much love.
Time months. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Archer Dog just dropped 2 $100 tips
Archer
in
Dog.
a row.
You are the man.
Always coming through. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the
man.
support.
I paste the link of
Okay.
my own webpage. That's in the chat. If you right click and put translate to English, or
Okay.
maybe I think it's going to detect the
Let me see.
automatic language translate because.
Oh, this is from your site. Nice.
Yes, this is from my site. There is a video. The video is in Spanish, unfortunately, but here you can see maybe I think.
I don't know why I just went to a
Place.
blank screen on your site. Let me see if it comes up.
Because
Yeah, I'm just getting a blank page.
yeah, black. I don't see. I see just GLOBEBUSTER. The
Oh no, I'm showing. Oh, if I move this over here, show you so you can see what I'm seeing. It just goes to a white page. Bars browser. There you go. That's all I'm seeing right here is just this white page.
but I don't know if
Just says loading.
that's strange.
Should I try and just go to the main site and then I can get there from a menu or something? Let's see if it brings up the main. Okay, so now where do I go from here?
Okay. Well, you need to type on the top.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to type Titanic, and gonna be crazy. I think maybe.
You're getting it wrong way. Let me see if it comes up. Titanic. See what comes up. In here anywhere?
Yeah,
Oops. What happened?
Maybe you just.
Oh,
press
here you go. Which
enter.
one of these?
Well, the one of the right.
This one?
The Jesuit plot to sing the Titanic.
Beautiful. Thank you. See, we've got there.
It was the Father Francis Brown. If you scroll down, that automatically translated.
Wow, this is nice. And you wrote this?
Yes, I take it from videos and things like that, of course, and with a little help of ChatGPT.
Right.
You can. But if you go down a little bit more, we're gonna see a picture of the Jesuit. There is that one. There is just a tiny paragraph there. Here, the evil of the Jesuit is shown to the. You can read it if you want.
Yeah, here the evil of the Jesuits is shown to the fullest. The parish priest, Father Francis Brown, boarded the Titanic, photographed the victims, and possibly informed the captain about his Jesuit oaths, and the next morning saw him off. Eric J. Phelps from the Vatican Assassins. Brown checked with Edward Smith one last time as to what he had to do in the waters of North Atlantic. The Jesuit general told Francis Brown what was going to happen. Brown told Smith, and the rest is history. Edward Smith believed that the Jesuit general was the god of Jesuit society, and that nothing but his electric touch could have activated their dead bodies and create life and action in them. Until he speaks, there are like snakes tangled in the cold tombs, lifeless and inactive, but the moment he gives an order to each member immediately stands up, leaving whatever they have been doing incomplete, ready to assault whoever they are required to assault, and strike wherever they are asked to do so. That's R.W. Thompson in the Footprints of the Jesuits. Edward Smith was ordered to sink the Titanic, and he did it just as he was ordered to do so by the command of God, the Jesuit general. It is illegal to kill the innocent, to steal, to commit any evil, because he, the Pope, is the God of life and death of all things. Therefore, our duty is to comply with his messages. There is no report in the history of the association whose organization has prevailed for 300 years without change and alteration, despite the attacks of men and times to which has been exercised so immense an influence of destinies of humanity. So summarize it for me. What basically went down, that this guy was kind of the orchestrating it all?
Not all, but because this is taken from a book.
Right.
Of course, it's not my opinion.
Yep.
But supposedly, the to resume is like this guy belong or participate in the sink of the Titanic. He came. He aboard. I don't know how to say, but he entered into the Titanic. He take a few pictures, but he never, leave the coast with the Titanic. He step away before the Titanic goes into the open ocean. So it's a little thing, it's a little strange. Why he never? He take place into the Titanic, but he get out before the Titanic goes into the the final destination.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember what I found that made me know for a fact that the story that we're told is wrong is the Carpathia, which was the ship, and that guy was a Freemason. The captain of that was a Freemason. He was celebrated for his whole life and put up on a pedestal. And once you look at the details about the him getting there, so they were supposedly like 50 something miles. I remember 50 or 60 miles from it when it happened. And so they say the boat went 14 knots. Of course, that's what we're supposed to believe boats do today, but they did it back then easily. So at 14 knots, it would take about 4 hours to get there. So then when you look at the time that they would have got there and the time that they get back to New York and the time that they supposedly finished picking up all the passengers, and then you go look at the images that are supposedly real, they're supposed to be real pictures. They basically threw a rope ladder, right? One of those really, really loose kind of ropes with a stick in between each rope. You know what I'm talking about? A rope ladder? It's not sturdy. It's not like it's a sturdy thing. They threw that over the board of the Carpathia, and then they had everybody in these boats that had showed up or that were needed to be saved. So you can just do the math on it, and you have to ask yourself, well, how long would it take women and children to get up a rope ladder, right? And you just look at the height of it. It's like a 20 feet high. You have to get up to get on this boat, and you start thinking to yourself, okay, so a woman going up a rope ladder is going to take what?
In a wet evening gown.
Right. I mean, you're talking several minutes, right? Several minutes, not just 30 seconds or something. I mean, they would have to be running up the ladder. They're just not going to be doing that. So I remember looking at that. And then if you look at the amount of people, let me look at the Carpathia saved how many? Because if you look at Carpathia saved how many? 705 people. So now you start thinking about that. You're like, wait, 705 people? Well, how long would it take each of 705 people to get onto that boat? Because if you're saying, let's say we go 2 minutes, right? Well, 705 times 2 minutes is 10 minutes. Divided by 60 would be, that's 23 and a half hours. So it doesn't even work. It's like, wait, so they got 705 people out of rescue boats, up a rope ladder, onto a new boat, and they had to do so in like 3 hours. So, I mean, I don't even know what they claim the amount of time of saving them was, but it certainly wasn't 23 and a half hours. So it's just one of those stories where you're like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
It's like the amount of photographs that the guys on the moon take it.
Right. It's like 2,400 photographs. They're like, well, they would have to be taking a photo every 8 seconds. So that doesn't seem like
and not one of Earth.
And right, and they see them driving around in carts where they're not even taking, or their little go-kart and playing golf. They're not taking pictures then.
Plum Level Square Bear over on Rockfin tipped $5. Says I got 5 on it.
And the guy's name was Rostron. I can't remember his first name because I think he was a pretty big Freemason. Let me look him up here. I'm just going to look up Carpathia Rostron. I don't remember. Is that how you spell it? Rostron? Arthur Rostron. Was a British merchant seaman and seagoing officer of the Cunard Line. He is best known as the captain of the ocean liner Carpathia when it rescued the survivors of the Titanic in 1912. Because supposedly, he got word to the ship and then he just told them to like stop cooking and stop doing all these things and that they would race to get there faster than anybody else. And then the story about the Californian is the one I was talking about that was way closer, but said, well, it couldn't have been the Titanic due to the curvature of the Earth. So, well, what do you know? I just want to see, does it say he's a Freemason? Control, fine. Or am I getting that from somewhere else? I don't see it in here. I thought he was like a big Mason. Let me look up here. Mason. So nowhere in the Wikipedia. Isn't that always funny to watch? And then if I search just his name with Mason behind it, I bet it'll be all kinds of stuff.
My webpage.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was just looking over here. Without hesitation, Captain Arthur Ronson returned to the race towards the Titanic. Let me just pull this over here so you can see what I'm looking at. I was just trying to see. They couldn't sink it. Also interviewed the first day was Arthur Henry Rawson, the captain of the Carpathia. I thought that it said, that's the wrong thing. Oh, let me put Freemason instead of Mason. It's probably easier. Freemason. In his own words, great famous quote, Titanic voices, rescuing survivor. Could have sworn that he was a known Freemason, but now I'm not seeing it. I'm positive I can find that information somewhere else. Let me see if we go results with Freemason. Masonic news, becoming a Freemason. I don't know. We'll have to look through it. Oh, there's one. William Ronston. Anyway, I do think that he was master of the Carpathia, representing years of Freemason. Let's see what this is. Some Mason site. Bless us, Lord, for being here. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Carpathia here. So, Captain Arthur Rostron, master of the Carpathia, representing those who see the need to take action. Valiant efforts to speed up his aging ship, rushing to provide aid. All non-essential power to the ship was cut down as Rostron pushed his ship to the limits, ordering his crew to prepare hot foods, blankets, medical care for the survivors. Captain Stanley Lord of the Californian represents those who say, I can't do anything, misses the opportunity, and then goes back to sleep. An interesting and interactive discussion about how we, as Masons, can use these perspectives to prepare for the future, featured by R.W. Adamson's presentation. Anyway, I'll have to look at that for 33. Those who New Lodge is the 33, whose primary purpose is philanthropy. Okay. So that's the whole story's great. I still want to do a video on that. I think there's a lot of stuff. I've got so much stuff in my folder here. I want to just look at it real quick. I haven't been there in forever. See if there's anything that sticks out. Let me go to Jeranism Picks. In my external drive, I know there's a whole Titanic folder. See if anything strikes a nerve. I'll show you 1 second. I'll be over there. Titanic. Let's see. This is just a huge... I've got all these folders in my temporary drive. Oh, come on. Hello. Thank you. Move this over here. So this is... oh, yeah, that's some stuff there. I've got so much stuff. So these boats... I want to find the boat that shows the actual ladder that supposedly... Oh, this is the book here. The Wreck of the Titan. In 1898, a man named Morgan Robertson penned a book titled The Wreck of the Titan about a luxury liner deemed unsinkable. It was going too fast in the North Atlantic in April, hit an iceberg, killing most everyone on board due to the lack of lifeboats. Although the novel was written before the Olympic-class Titan had ever been designed, there are some remarkable similarities between the book Titan and the real-life Titanic. 14 years later, this fictional book would play out in real life, but this time it would have major political implications. Some of the wealthiest men in the world were on that ship, and some were opposed to the Federal Reserve and central banks. Imagine that. Or these are actually documents. I'm not even sure that these pictures are real. The more I kind of looked into these a little bit, I don't know. Oh, I think I was actually showing the number of people and how many of these boats. Oh, these are the people that were supposed to be on but didn't make it. This is the insurance paperwork valued at $5 million. I was trying to count how many people. Oh, because, I mean, why would there be 15 people in this boat and then 35 in this boat? Like, go ahead, we don't need more people on this boat. Just go out. Just Mystic Club. What is this? Something which would be prepared to transport. Oh, talking about somebody who died. I thought that I had a picture of this rope ladder, supposedly them saving people. What's that? The Marconi International Marine Communication. New York's Titanic sending out signals of distress. Answered his calls. Titanic implies that gives me the position of we have struck an iceberg. Oh, that's the... Says Captain Smith had to shoot some men. Oh, that's nice. Let's see some more documents or things I was lining up for my thing. This is something else. 32 people. I want to find that damn rope ladder. If when you see that, you'll just go, okay, come on. What the hell's going on? I wrote this, I think. Keep going here.
At least in those pictures, the 4 chimneys are working.
Right. And then, yeah, supposedly, oh, wait, this is the lineup of where they were.
Drawings. Not picture, but the drawings.
So here's the Carpathia. I don't know if you can see this. And then here's supposedly where it sank. And then the Californian was right here. And supposedly the distance here is not able to be seen on the globe. But the reports all say these people all clearly saw the distress signals and clearly saw the boat. They just figured that it wasn't that, and they figured they were like celebrating because I guess I don't know why you would get confused between celebration and sinking, but they did, supposedly. Let me keep.
Yeah, flares and fireworks are pretty different.
You would think so.
Yeah.
You know, I have that picture somewhere in here of the stupid. What is this? Titanic buckle. I don't know. Anyway, I do think that there's something to do with that. Here's a person, as Captain Lord said, we could not distinguish where the sky ended and where the water commenced. In the absence of some solid frame of reference, distances at night can only be judged by relative brightness of lights, their relation to each other. However, given the darkness and clarity of the night, the lights of the far-off vessel could easily have been perceived brighter than normal, thereby giving the appearance of being closer than they actually were. So they're all trying to explain why these lights were seen, where the easy answer is because the Earth's flat. That answers everything. You're done. You don't need to argue about it anymore. You can see further than you're told. Thus, a large vessel far away could easily be perceived as a small vessel close by. To appreciate how deceiving things were that night, Titanic's second officer, Charles Lightroller, Wright Toller, believed the light seen off the Titanic's port bow may have been that of a stopped sailing vessel. A white light about 2 points on the port bow. Whether it was two lights, I could not say. As to whether it was a masthead light or a stern light, I could not say. I was perfectly sure it was a light attached to a vessel. I've seen two. They could never found any human remains. I remember hearing that. We've seen clothing, he added. We've seen shoes. We've seen pairs of shoes, which would strongly suggest that there was a body there at one point, but we've never seen any human remains. Right now, of course, in an excellent time for federal officials to press their concerns and make their case for new protections, which I don't think you can even go down there now. Now that whole sub went down, right? Isn't that where that sub was going that died? All those people,
I think so. The Challenger,
which is
Deep
crazy.
or
Did
whatever it was called.
people know that the pilot of that sub that sank is the same pilot of the flight that did the one last orbit? So the orbit that supposedly there was like one thing called, and by the way, that whole thing is horseshit. I've contacted those guys, Terry Virts, the astronaut. I've contacted, well, before he died, the pilot of that plane, and asked them, where is your live stream? Why do you guys keep claiming there was a live stream? They're like, oh, go buy the DVD. I'm like, no, your DVD is an hour and 15-minute documentary. You guys said you live streamed the entire flight. So where is it? And they all send me to somebody else, and they're like, I don't know, we're not sure, we might have lost it. I've had that in emails. So the one final orbit, this big thing that you can watch it live stream and all this stuff, they don't have any of the footage. They never did it. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
How convenient.
Imagine that. Reported his findings, Captain. Just seeing if there's anything else here. Agreed that the approximate location of the Titanic when she struck the iceberg, and that both the Titanic and California had been under influence of strong south-setting current more than one knot. I thought this was going to be it. Don't tell me I don't have that image. That's the only reason I came here. But yeah, when you go through some of this stuff, it just doesn't line up unless you say that the Earth's flat. Then all of a sudden, it all starts making sense. Oh, that boat could see it. And maybe they weren't supposed to see it because they knew where all the boats would be. There wasn't a lot of them out there. So maybe they told that guy to sink it in a location that they thought would be far enough away so that none of these other boats will see it. Well, then the Californians saw it. That's the problem, is the Californians like, oh no, we did see it. And it turned out that it was them, which just means you could see further than they thought. See, it arrived at the general Titanic obviously had not traversed now. Let's keep going here, see if we find maybe someone coming up here. I don't even know what boat that is. That's the Carpathia. So remember, you have a little lifeboat here, okay? And then you've got to haul people up to the side of this boat. So how long would it take a woman or child to climb up a rope ladder? Out of this boat in a life jacket where you're freezing cold. I don't think they had enough time to do so. Let me see what we got here. I know I've seen that damn ladder. Let's see here. What is all this stuff?
It's a Jacob ladder.
Yeah. What is all these things? Why do I have this stuff down? This is all about second banks. All right. Anyway, let's move on to this because I don't think I'm going to see it. I wonder why I'm looking at all these. 1963, 1944. Don't know what that is. This is actually from the Titanic, supposedly. The deck of it. This one here is... usually I used to know all this stuff. Isn't it funny when you go through these things and research, you end up being like fully, and then you look at it years later, like, I don't remember now which one's which. Mm-hmm. Which one's the 4-stack? Titanic's wireless radio operators. What is that? No panic on the Titanic. Another picture from on there. Do I have anything? Sinking of the RMS Lusitania. We know about that. What is that? I can't read that. Anyway. If you do the research on it, you'll see that the amount of time that it would have taken to rescue those people is not nearly enough. I don't even know what these say. Can't read them. Molly Brown supposedly was on that, I believe. Is this the one? Oh, yeah, this is it. Hold on, let me bring this up. Okay, so this is... Let me move this over here so you can see it a little better. So this is at 3:30, the Carpathia had reached the exact position given by the Titanic's radio operator, but sinkingly, there was nothing to see, no ship, no lights, no lifeboats. At 4 a.m., Captain Rostron ordered the engines of his ship stopped. All the Carpathia's crew and officers were desperately straining to see some clues, some wreckage, or some survivors in the early morning light. Suddenly, one of the crew spotted a green light load down ahead of the water. It was a flare from one of the lifeboats. Boat number 2, command of 4th Officer Joseph Boxall, was spotted moments later, and then after a little maneuvering from Carpathia, the tiny lifeboat came alongside her starboard gangway doors. First-class passenger Elizabeth Walton Allen was the first to be taken aboard at 4:10 a.m. I'm just for my own knowledge here, I want to write that down, 4:10 a.m., so I know when they say supposedly this happened. Come on. It's going on iPad. Okay, 4:10 a.m. And then we've got, she then confirmed to Carpathia's stunned pulsar that the Titanic had indeed sunk. Eventually, other lifeboats approached the side of her liner, and more survivors began to come aboard, many of them sobbing pitifully, many in shock, some just quietly reflecting on what they had witnessed in the last terrible hours. Many of the female survivors were firmly under the belief that their husbands, fathers, grandfathers, and uncles had been rescued by other vessels, or indeed could be aboard the Carpathia. The last lifeboat to be picked up was number 12. Seen here in the dramatic photograph on the left, it was overloaded, and Second Officer Charles Herbert Lightroller was using all of his seafaring skills to sail the lifeboat towards the safety of the Carpathia. It eventually pulled alongside at 8:30 a.m., and 30 minutes later, the final person to be rescued stepped aboard the Carpathia. So that's 9 a.m. So you've got basically 5 hours, right? So 5 hours to rescue 700 and, what do we say? 5? I don't remember what that number was. 70 something, but
yeah, 7:05.
So you got 5 hours would be 5 times 60, so 300 minutes. So 705 divided by 300 minutes, is that correct? Or 705 people in 300 minutes. So you have to rescue 2.35 people per minute. How's that possible? It just doesn't seem possible to me. 2 people per minute. That means 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to get up that ladder. With the women and children. I mean, it would take...
Yeah, that's hard to...
It would take a fit woman 30 seconds. It's not just come out of the freezing cold water. Right? Just seems to me like crazy.
In shock, yeah.
Yes, I just can't picture that happening. All right, so let's get into some of the southern stuff so we can kind of look at the Southern Ocean. I do want to mention, in case anybody doesn't know, because I have been upset about it the last couple of days, but just... do you know what quotations mean? If you put quotation marks around something, it means that you said that. Okay? I don't know if people understand that quotation marks don't mean something else, but if you're ever going to say, Jeran said, and then you put in quotation marks something, then I have to have said that. And if you're somebody who's on the flat earth side...
Like those exact words.
Right, they have to be word for word.
Had to have come out of his mouth.
And yet people on the flat earth feel like it's okay to say that I said things that I didn't. And, I was going to look up quotations just to make sure that I'm right. I don't think that I'm wrong. I don't think you can put a direct quotation where you produces words verbatim from another work or from your own previously published work. It is best to paraphrase the quotations. I'm saying quotations, exact words. I don't think you can summarize what somebody says or what you believe they said. To quote exact words, you can use quotation marks around the word you're quoting. This is called a direct quote, and it's a word-for-word report. Word-for-word report of what someone else said or wrote. Okay, so yeah, Banjo Kazooie over there, at, which I used to like Banjo, not much anymore, because he feels like putting... It's just so weird to me because, he's going to do another video on me. This is great. Fantastic, Banjo. Good work over there, Banjo. But it's crazy to me that you would ever do something like this guy's been doing, which is putting... So you can see here these 2 videos. So now he changed the... Oh, wait, let me go back to videos. Did he finally change it the second time? No. So, I mean, you'll notice this video here says Jeran, then in quotation marks, we live on a giant Home Depot on top of a ball. So again, anybody, I offered on my show the other night $1,000 if somebody can find me saying that, which should be easy because somebody here is quoting it. Not just in their title of their video, but also the thumbnail. Jeran, Earth is a bigger globe. What? I've never said that. So it's just baffling to me. And then you go in there and you tell him and he's like, I changed it. Or he asked me, why didn't you come 9 days ago and complain about the video? I'm like, I don't know, because somebody just brought it up to me now that you're misquoting me, putting it in your title. I mean, for me to put somebody's name, like if I put Austin and then put a quote, I mean, you better be sure. I'm going to be damn sure he said exactly those words. I would never post a video or a thumbnail that has a quote on it that the person didn't say. So it's just baffling to me that this is kind of...
Bad form.
It's just insane. It's like, why would you do that? And then when I bring it up to him, if you look at the comments, that's like me talking to him saying, dude, knock it off. He probably got rid of all my comments. Oh, I'm in the wrong. I'm in GLOBEBUSTERS. See, Jeran's just doing this. Every time I don't see anything. Here we go. But he won't change it. Or he did change it once because at first it said something else. So there's me just going off and trying to get him to change it, but he won't. See what he says here. The lights in the sky do not... Yeah. It's just like, how are you okay with that? And this is my problem with... I know people have a problem with my feelings on religion. But I just feel like if you're going to go around proclaiming to be a Christian, then you can't do things like this. And if you do things like this and somebody brings it up to you, hey, guy, quotation marks mean that I said exactly those words. So if I didn't say exactly those words, please remove it. And then they don't, then I don't believe in Christianity. I just don't believe that it's a real thing. How is that okay? And then why does the community let him do that? Christians are not good people if they're allowing, like, it's a known thing that he's doing this. And for people in here, they're just going to say, like, well, this is what happens when you don't build your life on Christ. Like, what happens? I didn't do anything wrong. He is misquoting me. So what do you mean? This is what happens when you don't build your life on Christ.
People bear false witness against you, and it's okay.
Right.
If you don't follow Christ, I don't know. I don't remember seeing that part in the Bible anywhere.
Me neither.
That it's okay to be shitty to people that don't believe what you believe.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. And then, I mean, like this is a straight up lie. Like, where's he? Jeran is just buying time. He's trying to please his boss, Will Duffy. So, I mean, do you have evidence of him being my boss? Where are you getting that from? Who hired him to go to Antarctica? Nobody's been hired for anything. To claim, I mean, he's just saying things, and it just baffles me to make blanket assumptions like that. And then people think because you're a Christian, you must be telling the truth or you must know what you're talking about. Not the case. So just want to tell people, whenever you use, it says, don't blame Jesus for somebody else's sin. No, I'm not blaming Jesus. What I'm saying is that if Christianity was real, it's like that people really felt it, then when somebody was doing things on behalf of being a Christian, say, hey, I'm a Christian, and then they do things wrong, then the entire Christian community would chastise that person. But that's not what happens in Christianity. In Christianity, you are backed up if you're a Christian to no end. You can do whatever you want. It actually is okay for him to lie about me numerous times, misquote me, and all the Christians in there, nobody will ever speak up against him. It's, oh, praise Jesus. It's, Jeran doesn't believe in the Bible, and therefore what you're doing is right, Banjo. I mean, it's just insane. It's like, well, then why would I ever want to be a Christian? To join a team of people who then don't really care about the teachings of Jesus anymore. They'll just say, well, you're a Christian, therefore you can get away with anything. And he doesn't get to do that. So it's just crazy. Go in here and look at all these people. See here, that's somebody's on my side. Jeran is not a flat earther. I mean, what are you talking about? It's baffling to me. 30 pieces of silver jangling in his pocket. So this is what happens when you've got people in your own community. And let me tell you, it's hard enough to be a flat earther. Everybody should know that. If you're a flat earther, you realize it's not the easiest thing in the world. When you're online, putting your name out there, real person, real name, it's even harder. So you already got two things against you. To add to that, your own community attacking you, it becomes almost not worth it. Then it's just the burden is too much to even think of handling, because it's hard enough to battle against those you're going up against, right? I describe it as like we're climbing up a wall. We have a big wall to climb as flat earthers. And yet there's people on your own team that every once in a while turn around and throw rocks at you as you're climbing up.
Yeah, they're throwing rocks at you as you're trying to get up over the wall.
So you're like, well, now I'll never make it. Like, and you should know that if you're on my team and you keep turning around and throwing rocks back at me, then you do understand I'll never get to the top. I'll never make it. You should know that because you're the one causing it. But it's like they don't get it. They're like, we should be further along. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. Hopefully people recognize that if you quote somebody, it means quote. Here, his anti-God rhetoric is what raised my red flags. There's no anti-God rhetoric. Somebody else said Jeran won't acknowledge the intelligent design. I mean, it's just, I can't imagine. And all these people, remember, are truthers. So how do you say, if you're a truther, Jeran doesn't acknowledge intelligent design? Like, you have to have some sort of evidence to say that, or else you're literally repeating what somebody else said, or you've never listened to me or have no idea what my beliefs are. But you call yourself a Christian and you call yourself a truther. So what do you think that does to my opinion of truthers and Christians? Well, they obviously don't care about the truth. They just go say whatever. And I bring that up because it was funny the other night, and it just kind of, upset me, hurt my feelings, whatever you want to call it. Because I was getting in bed and I got the Telegram message from somebody saying, hey, they're over on McToon's channel saying that you backed out of the final experiment. Like, what? Like, yeah, somebody's saying that you threw your wife under the bus. I'm like, what is going on? What the fuck is this about? So I go over there and I just popped in real quick and said, I'm not staying here. I don't want to watch the show. But I said, but no, whoever's saying that is lying. But when I got there, Toon was like yelling at these people, basically saying, don't do that. Don't ever repeat things that you just heard that may not be true. But I don't ever hear that from our side. So he's like admonishing his chat people because somebody said it in chat and then they all started repeating it and then it became a thing, right? So then he started looking into it and he's like, no, hold on. Who said this originally? Where did the original... And then he kind of went back in his chat and he found the person who said it originally and like called them out and said, where's your evidence? You just came into my chat and said this. Where's your evidence? And the person disappeared. And so Toon is like, see what happens is that's just a troll who's come here to say bullshit. And you guys were all repeating it. So he was like admonishing his audience for repeating bullshit. And it's like, I've never heard that from flat earthers. They don't even care. They'll just repeat whatever they want. Just repeat it. I don't hear anybody getting upset or anybody saying, hey, we shouldn't say that. So it's just baffling to me that we're not on the side. We should be the truth side. We should be the side saying those things. We should be the side stopping people from repeating things, but people, they don't care. It's like, oh, throw whoever you want under the bus, throw whoever you want to say did whatever. So anyway, that's just, I wanted to point that out. So people know, because maybe Banjo doesn't know. Maybe Banjo thinks you can summarize somebody's opinion or say like, this is what I think he was saying, put quotation marks around it. But you should not. If you're going to put quotation marks, you should be able to show easily, hey, where did that person say that? Oh, they said it right here. Or, oh, they said it over here. Not just, well, I mean, kind of, he did say, he kind of maybe meant that. No. Don't quote me then. Don't quote me. All right, so I figure we'll start out with, where do I want to start? Do I want to start at the plane flights or we'll go Vendy Globe first. I want to show that. The Vendy Globe. And we'll be able to figure out these speeds of these boats. Because it is coming up again this year. I believe. When does it start? Okay, accept all.
Yeah, how do these guys not realize it? Like when we do this in the north, like we do this a lot quicker.
Well, what's his name that Taboo Conspiracies pointed out says that they turn always left, which is completely flat Earth. It's not anything to do with a globe Earth. You would turn right if you were going east. Let me show you this too, just so people can understand the layout. I found this map recently. It was actually good to find. Where is it? Here. It is an azimuthal equidistant. I just had it yesterday. Where is it? Hold on. Maybe it's a little further down than I thought. It's called this one. Azimuthal map anywhere. You ever seen this site? Here, it looks like this.
No.
Yeah. So basically, you can either go equal area or equidistant, which I think equal area is kind of cool. And then you can see here, this is centered here. So if we pull it down, we can get it centered at the North Pole like that for an AE map. You can also change it to equidistant, which expands it out and puts Antarctica out here. But I thought it was interesting that you can show the equidistant circle. So you can kind of get an idea of these distances. Looks like to New Zealand from the North Pole then would be 16,000 kilometers, which is probably 9,000 or 10,000 miles. I'm not really sure what that is. But then what you can do is you can kind of start to play around with these, move these in and out, just to see whether any other configuration works. Because I've heard people say, well,
That's interesting, yeah.
Couldn't the South Pole be at the center? Well, you can play with it and see that the problem becomes, if that were true, everything would get mixed up as far as directions traveled and things, right? For example, a plane leaving here from Sydney to Santiago, I'm trying to think here. So if you've got the sun going here, because everything just gets switched, right? Because then you have the sun coming the wrong way no, I guess it still would go the right way. It would still come from the east, set in the west. So the only weird thing would be all of this gets really expanded out going this way. So I do think that either one could necessarily work if it's an equidistant or area. Here's equal area. So that is still puts 16,000 miles. I want to see where. Does that change the distance much? 16,000 kilometers. So kind of almost the same. I'm just trying to see what the difference between these two are. Just expands a little bit. Like Australia gets a little fatter.
What's the name of this one again?
Oh, so the website is maps.ontarget.cc. I forgot what happens when you get there. To go here and then you go to, oops. Oh, I guess that is it. But where is the map of all subway rail hosts, rental car, anywhere? Oh, right here. So if you go to maps.ontarget.cc, and then there is right here, anywhere azimuth projection. Click on that and it brings it up here. And then you can actually put that spot anywhere if you want to say, oh, what if it's in New York is the central spot? But anyway, that's where this map comes from here. So again, that's maps.ontarget.cc, and then click that second link. Okay, so we're going to look at the Vendy Globe. Oops, where did I go? I lost it. Anyway, let me find, here it is, Vendy Globe. So I remember watching this really carefully last year, or not last year, 4 years ago. And it's coming up again. When does it start? November 10th. So it might be something people want to pay attention to see what kind of speeds we get again. If we go to the last edition, you can start to go through here and see, the speeds that they all ended up at. How far was the race, which I believe, here's your finisher, what they finished in the time wise. It's so weird too, because it's just stupid. They basically gave this guy the first place because he didn't come in first, but then they like put some, it's almost like soccer extra time or something. They like looked at some things. Okay, now actually minus 4 hours, and then he actually got first, but he didn't actually cross the finish line first. But and then you look at the type of boats that they use, and that's what you want to do. Make sure you don't search. If you're searching within the Vendée Globe idea, then you're going to get a different answer for the speed of these boats. You just need to find out what that boat is, and then go start looking somewhere else at let's pretend like you wanted to buy one, what the speed of that boat is, right? So I believe it's a monohull 60 is what again, I'm just getting this off the top of my head. Let me see if we can find out which. Let's go to type of boats or something like that. What is the Vendée Globe? How to participate. Let's try here for a second. So, and by the way, this is another one that I got Toon on when I did my thing, because Toon thought my speeds were all off because he said, well, you're pretending like they travel 24 hours a day. I'm like, they do. He's like, no, they don't. They sleep. I'm like, no, they don't. I know it sounds crazy, but these guys are professional athletes. They, just like any other sport, you have to learn to be, you have to train yourself to be an athlete in that sport. So these guys literally sleep for 5 minutes every hour, and they don't change their speed. They're going on a sailboat, they set the autopilot, and they sleep 5 minutes every hour. And that's how they get their sleep, which is crazy.
It's totally possible to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be tired. You're going to come home.
Navy SEALs, Hell Week.
Right.
They don't sleep for a week straight.
Right.
I think they get maybe like 3 hours throughout that whole 7-day period.
So it is possible.
Physical and active and having to do stuff. The
Right.
human body is amazing.
It is amazing. You can train yourself. And then I'm sure they get home and they probably have to rest for 3 months to make up for it. I mean, it's, nobody's saying that they just go back to regular life. So 24,300 miles is the course. That's the theoretical distance a sailor would sail around the world. A revolution accomplished with a record time of 74 days, 3 hours during the 8th edition of the Vendée Globe. This planetary voyage is firstly a climactic journey to sail down the Atlantic, cross the Indian and Pacific Oceans, then sail back up. And this right here is showing this as way too low. I don't know why this is way too low. Holy fook and bang ding out. No, that's one of the funnier things ever said in my entire life. That it's just so funny.
Holy fook.
And the girl's just reading it on the Channel 2 News like it's just nothing.
We too low. Something wrong.
Oh man, didn't she like nobody wrote that down when they're like typing it into the teleprompter? It was like, wait, this seems wrong. In reality, during the previous 9 editions, the most competitors sometimes sailed over 28,000 miles. The solo racers have to deal with the wind, waves, swell, ice. The trajectories of the boats are thus a chain of broken lines, zigzags, detours, changes in courses. And usually you can, when they show it live, when they actually have this event, they show the tracking and you can see what all the boats are doing. But they do seem to go more than what they say. This is too low in my mind. I think that they have to stay above a certain, like, I thought it's usually above like 60 degrees or something. But only under 14 of them managed to cross the finish line. A lot of them bail out. A lot of them can't make it. Again, that's how many days? So we said like 80 days, 90 days, 100 days. What is this one? So this is how much should be. Only 1 out of 9 pioneers who had set off in 1968 succeeded in returning to Falmouth, the major port of British Cornwall, on the 6th of April 1969 after 313 days at sea. British sailor Robin Knox Johnston finally reached his goal 20 years later after having won the BOC Challenge twice, solo around the world with stopovers. Navigator Philippe something introduced the idea of a new race around the world, but nonstop. The Vendée Globe race was born November 26, 1989. 13 sailors took to the start of the first edition, which lasted over 3 months. Only 7 returned. Let me see here if I can find this one that I was going to show you. Pretty crazy little race, but I think it's good to keep our eyes on it. See what we get this year. I mean, I like what you said when you're like, how do people know? How don't they know? Because you would think that you could, if you're on the ocean, you could kind of start to learn your speed. So don't they realize that like, oh, we're going this fast in the north, and when we go to the south, it seems like we're going just as fast, but we keep coming up with much slower speeds. That would be what I would think would happen. But we don't hear much of that.
It's crazy how few of these people actually complete it.
Yeah, because it's a lot harder than you would think. I think this is, I'm going to try and bring something up real quick. This is a 5-minute video, but just so you can hear them talk about whether they sleep or not. Let's see here, it's a Facebook video. Hopefully you can hear the sound. I don't hear any sound.
Into the Vendée Globe now.
Yeah,
We'll be talking today about sleep, how Alex manages it, how he tries to get it, what it's like for him on board, and how we look at that in a data sense. In a normal one-day start, you have the first 48 hours would be just extremely stressful. The intensity of leaving, starting a race that's going to last for 70 odd days, all of that adds to this stress level that you don't normally see it. When you look at the health data, it's pretty profound how high his heart rate can be even when he's resting. This year in particular, the weather is very, very confused. It's not a simple weather scenario for the guys out there. So what you're seeing is that they're having more maneuvers and more decisions to make in a short period of time than they might normally have. So it's really the worst of everything for them, where you have the stress of the beginning of the race, and on top of it, a lot of variable conditions where he has to physically be making changes on a regular basis, particularly in the first 24 hours or 36 hours. It's not surprising at all to see no sleep at all. If he is getting sleep, he's going to be getting very short little naps, so little intense, like 10, 15-minute laydowns. And one of the things you have with that is that might not really appear as sleep because it's so short. His heart rate doesn't really settle and stabilize at a low heart rate. So that's quite a lot of what could be going on at the moment.
So in calculating Alex's sleep, we're using a number of sensors that are on Alex and in the boat. So of course we have the boat movement, which we're using to understand what's the baseline. Because of course the platform that Alex is on is quite turbulent. Perhaps if you've never been on a sailboat, in particular a sailboat that's traveling at 25 knots, you don't realize how turbulent.
Okay, just notice that. He just said a sailboat that's traveling 25 knots. Okay, so let me see this real quick. So if a sailboat's going 25 knots, that's about, my guess is 30, but I'm never really good at that kind of math. Let me see real quick. 25 knots to mph is 28 miles per hour. Okay, just remember that. I'll go back. What is this thing doing? Get over here. And go back. What? Where did I just do with that? Yeah. Oh, come on. Why did I lose that video? Did I go here? No, that's what I did. What the hell? I lost that video. Hold on one second. I just lost it. It's not here. Not here. What did I do with the...
Do you hate it when stuff like that happens?
Oh, I can't stand it. It always happens to me too. I'm like, where the hell? Oh, I know why. Because it was a Facebook video. I'm looking for YouTube up here. Let me find Facebook. Maybe I already saw it. It's not there. Must be here. That's my problem. I was looking at. There it is. Sorry about that. Here we go.
Turbulent and how much movement there just is on this boat. So we're using that, of course, to kind of get a baseline for what is the ground that Alex is trying to sleep on. And then on top of that, we have this sensor that Alex is wearing on his upper arm, together with the PPG sensor, the heart rate monitor sensor that's sitting on top of it. So we use all of these things together, plus an AI algorithm on the boat that then tries to make a best determination about whether or not Alex is sleeping on the boat. It's important not to think of it so binary, just as Alex is sleeping and not, or Alex is not sleeping. I mean, we don't do that with our own lives, right? We don't, all of us maybe put our heads down on our desk for 5 minutes and we don't sleep at work, but then we feel much better afterwards, right? So look at the minimum heart rate, start to see when you see it diving below 70 for a minimum heart rate, you know that Alex is starting to rest. Or due to the stressful, chaotic environment of the boat, his heart rate didn't go down enough. I mean, Alex is a busy guy, right? He has to go to bed every time he goes to bed, knowing that there is a list of 100 things he has to do when he wakes up. So you have to understand the stressful environment that he is in right now.
So in these intense early stages of the race,
I see Wits in the chat saying, "How would you sailors not put together? They're going way further." Yeah, I would imagine that they would, but I also, when you look at that guy being in his boat, I mean, he's like way down below. They're not really looking outside. They wouldn't be out on the boat much. I mean, they have to change sails or whatever, but that would be dangerous. You're not going to just be out there on the boat looking at the water. It will be a constant
trade-off of trying to find times when you can sleep. And it's so hard because you can always do more to make the go faster almost all the time. So it's really about trying to find the times where it's the lowest loss to be able to get your head down. But the other side of
all I know is I've got a lot of respect for these people because I would never do this. Never be in a boat by myself.
Like 60 degrees south,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah,
that's like the most dangerous waters.
Yeah, it's just choppy. I mean, it's crazy down there. It's just that's a real man, if you will. That's not me. You ain't gonna catch me out sailing by myself, having to hoist sails, and I mean they're just getting injured, and it's a crazy sport.
In these early stages, when you're not wanting to lose touch with the leaders, you're really.
So this is what's kind of cool, is that they have this kind of thing you can watch when the race starts, or when the whole thing gets going. So you'll be able to watch these boats when they're moving. But you just heard him say it's going 28 miles per hour. But we'll do the math here in a second. We'll look at some people in the past and see how fast they're going.
Alert, just due to it being the start of the race. It's hard to actually get yourself into a state where you can sleep.
The amount that we expect Alex to sleep is very little. I mean, there will be parts of the race where hopefully he'll be getting more sleep, but our previous studies on him has shown that he sleeps about 10, 12% of the day, which is extremely small. We're talking an hour or two a day. So our expectation is not very much sleep throughout the entire race, which I think is interesting if you think of the context that it's 70 days, right? That Alex is going out, essentially putting himself through this huge sleep deprivation study right now. And so lots of what we will see is an interesting lens into the state of Alex right now.
So having been in touch with Alex over the last few days.
So it's kind of interesting that so a lot of people don't think that the math that we're doing on this speed is correct, because they immediately think, well, you're not taking into account, you're just taking the total distance time and applying a speed to the whole thing. Like, yes, because they don't slow down to sleep. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to go put on autopilot to go 10 miles per hour slower. In fact, everything they do is right.
Yeah, they don't do that.
No, it's a race. So they're nonstop going. They're going as fast as they can. And then what they do is try and find a time where it looks good, clean ahead of them, where they're like, okay, now I can get 10 minutes of sleep going full speed and I should be fine. And they've got like warning systems and stuff on it in case they, I don't know, get too close. But these guys are like trained to do that. So anyway, that's the video on that. Let me show you. Go back to here. I just want to go back to the Vendée Globe, which is...
And they said 70 days it took.
Yeah, I think that's like the fastest of all. I don't think that that's normal, but let me see here. Here's the Vendée Globe. Get rid of this. All right. So, and it would be fun if you've never watched it before to watch it in real time. I mean, or, it takes months. So it actually takes like 2.5 months to finish. But when they have the actual tracking on it, I wanted to see if they had any kind of a chart of the course. The only pit stop that a competitor in the Vendée Globe is allowed involves returning to delay within 10 days of the start. That is exactly what Michael did in 2008. He set off again 40 hours after the start, but went on to win the race in the end. The skippers are allowed to stop by anchoring in a creek, for example, but are not allowed to step ashore beyond the high tide mark. And that usually obviously doesn't happen for anybody that does well. But a lot of people bail out. Their stuff breaks. They can't fix it. They just give up. Did it say how many? Did you read something, Zach? You were saying about how many people don't finish. Is there a certain percentage you read or something?
No, he was talking about it, or you had said something earlier when you were reading.
So this is what they call
the seven of the teams.
Oh yeah,
across the finish line or something like that.
So this is the boat here. So the boats of the Vendée Globe are all measure at 18.28 meters long, 60 feet for a 4.5 M draught. With a large sail area, they are most powerful monohulls of the planet, led by a solo skipper. They can go beyond 30 knots in downwind conditions, which, by the way, that is the direction of the current and the direction of the wind. Okay, so that's why you don't see this race going west. They probably wouldn't be able to do it. They have to go with the current, which they say is like 1.5 to 2.5 miles per hour. I believe it's probably more than that, but let's just say 1.5 to 2.5. And then they're going in the direction of the wind, where the wind's at their back, which the wind blows west-east. So that's the only way it's actually done. Founded supported by World Sailing International Data. The rule requires that a mast, sails, keeljack, and also, is this a new feature, the boom, the J2, stay and the runners be common on all boats. The rest is up to the architects. So we're talking about a monohull 60. So if we just search that separately, let's pretend like we're not, and we just go mono, M-O, Jeran, monohull 60. Okay, so we get monohull 60. What's going on with this? Oh, that's not working. Trust. 1 second, I'm doing two things at once. And I'm enabled to trust this computer on iOS device. I did that. Hold on to fix this. Okay, all right. So here's the monohull 60s. Yacht 60, this beautiful ocean cruising yacht. Just to try and find, like, here's the, so I found like this one, world's fastest monohull. Here's a good one. And what do you want to bet this speed was in the north? It's going to be in the north. The IMOC 60 is the world's fastest monohull, having set a blistering 24-hour record. So a 24-hour record of, oh my goodness, if everything goes bad at the same time, now my Apple Pencil is not working. 24 record of 641 nautical miles while competing in the ocean race, the transatlantic leg. So 641 nautical miles is, let me look that up, 641.
Wow.
Nautical.
I just did the speed, just the 30 knots, which comes out to 34.5 miles per hour times 24 hours in a day,
right,
times 70 days,
right,
57,960 miles.
Right. Now do math for me real quick. Just think about that for a second. Now give me the math on if we go back to that azimuthal anywhere, and if we go by this distance, let's say we go with the equidistant map or the, let me see, azimuthal, which one's the difference? So I want to show the equidistant circles. Okay, so it says basically to the very edge is 16,000 kilometers. But we know that they don't go that low, right? So they go about, they're going to travel down here around there, but it's going to be about that circle, I guess, but they usually come up here. So let's go ahead and just see, what is 16,000? Let me give you what that is in miles. 16,000 kilometers in miles is 16,000 kilometers. Okay, so that's 9,941, and that's the then radius of a circle, right? So the diameter of that circle is going to be twice that, and then times, so give me 99 times 2 is going to be, let's see here, so if we go 32, so give me 19,883 times 3.14, I think would give us the total distance of that circle. It's probably
62,432.62.
Okay, so that would be the distance around if you sailed at this spot here, but I do think they sail a little bit higher than that, and we don't even know if these distances are correct. I've always said I could take easily the equator at a different distance than they tell us. Easily. Easily, and the way I looked at that too is if you take the, let's say that we know for a fact that the sun goes across the United States, and that we've got these time zones, basically the Eastern, Central, Western, and then Hawaii, and we know that they're an hour difference, right? Well, how long does it take to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast? Well, it takes about 5 hours, and it's 2,500 miles, right? So if you take that, and then you go, okay, well, how long does it take to get from California to Hawaii? It's about the same thing, 5 hours, 2,500 miles. So then I started thinking, well, wait, we can, and we know that the time difference between California and Hawaii is 3 hours, and the time difference between the East Coast and the West Coast is 3 hours. So that now tells us that every 3 hours is 2,500 miles. Think about it. That's what we just figured out. So then if you do it that way, you say, okay, well, how many? If every 3 hours is 2,500 miles, it means every 6 hours is 5,000 miles, which means every 24 hours is 5,000 times 4. And 5,000 times 4 is 20,000. So I think that the equator could easily be 20,000 miles, and I think that you've got pretty good evidence of that. It could be 20,000 miles. And then at 20,000 miles, now your whole stuff is all different. And how is anybody going to measure this? How is somebody measuring this distance anyway, of the equator? It's barely over any land. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised. And I've actually taken numbers like 21,000, 21,500. And I still think things work, and I don't think anybody would have any clue. They wouldn't have any knowledge of that at all. But that would bring this distance down probably to maybe 50,000 for this trek. And you said that you figured out what a top speed would be going for 70 days? Is that what you figured out?
34 at 30 knots, as fast as the boat can go or whatever, as fast as they said they were going. It comes out to like 34 miles. And I multiplied that by 24. Let's see. So we had 34.5 miles times 24 hours. You get 828 miles a day times 70 days. Yeah, 57,960 miles.
And you said 57,000. Okay, and they really say they're only going half that distance. So I'm guessing that then they say that the boat's going half the speed. So what's crazy about that is if there was ever a race in cars, let's say, what are the chances that the final speed of the car that went the fastest would be half of the top speed of the car? What? What do you mean?
Yeah, they do 200 miles an hour, but the average speed was 100.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous because somebody would just say, well, then why doesn't somebody go beat it by going 120? It doesn't even make any sense. If cars can go faster than that, then that's not a very good record if you're only going half the speed that you can. So I would say the same thing about Vendée Globe is why doesn't somebody go out there and just go faster? It just doesn't make sense to me that the top speed would be, because that's basically what they're saying. If they said 24,000, you said 57,000. So it's actually more than half. I'm sorry, less than half, meaning that they must be going less than half the top speed, coming in at around, I don't know, 15 knots, 14 knots, 13 knots. And it even gets worse as you look at other things. I remember I looked at the, they have this, I don't know what it is. It's like a standalone drone that goes around the Southern Ocean too. Anyway, back to the, so yeah, that's basically, and you can look into it and find that those boats seem to go faster than that all the time. What is going on? I don't want to spy your stuff. See, so that boat we said goes, now we're talking about Vendée Globe here, but it just baffles me that that's what you're supposed to believe, that these boats are going way slower than their, see here, among the Vendée design overall race leader seems the most similar to terms of bow shape. It lacks the volume, not surprisingly. Oh, by the way, what we're also forgetting is that these boats in these races are trying to max out speed, right? So they're looking at the wind, they're looking at everything, and then the boats are made to be lighter so that the race boats wouldn't be slower, they would be faster, right? It'd be like race cars being slower than our cars. Doesn't make any sense. They make the race car go faster, it's lighter, it's fuel efficient, it's got better
bigger
aerodynamics.
engine. Yeah, right. Everything.
So they make it sound like, oh no, it's in the southern, and it goes way slower than every other boat. What? That doesn't make any sense. I'm just trying to see what it said here. Just 12,000 miles southern Lake 3. We're first and second through the, So anyway, if you do the math on this, you figure out that there is issues. So the second thing I want to talk about is going to the, and this starts, like I said, November. Keep an eye on that. I'll probably be covering it. Let's see what this is. The 24-hour record. So let's see what this says. The C-shaped foil versus the L-shape played out dramatically on leg 5 of the ocean race when 11th hour racing team all took turns blowing through the race and outright monohull 24-hour records, previously standing at 602 and 618 miles respectively. The latter set by the 100-foot Comanche back in 2015 during what's been dubbed as the North Atlantic Speed Sailing Seminar. Maintained a breathtaking speed of 26.71 knots. And so I do want to do a little research into finding out exactly what is the speed records for the North and for the South, because there is no
their average 26.71?
It says average speed. Yeah, 26.71 knots. What's that in miles per hour? 30? 35?
30.73.
Okay. See what this says here. No sail changes. Actually, we took a reef in and out, so we slowed down for 2 or 3 moments, but apart from that, nothing slowed us down longer time. Sometimes the wave got a little bit shorter, and we'd slow down to 18 knots and get a bit stuck in the sea, but most of the time the boat would pass the sea perfectly and fly at 27 to 34 knots. So
so that's way faster.
Right. So, I mean, again, they're even lying about the top speed. These guys are like, oh, we went 34 knots. Well, then it goes faster than what you just said. So what is 34 knots? That's 40 miles per hour?
Let's see, 39.12.
Yeah, so that's probably a lot.
It's moving.
Regards to the foil shape, Harris noted that a boat has 30% more structure than the other ones. So again, this is it, like solid carbon fiber, no foam core. So they even like deck these things out. So there's just no way for me to believe that they're going slower than the top speed and more than half as slow, right? It's not that they're going like close to, because if a car can go 200 and the top speed of the car that wins the race is going 187, then it kind of makes sense. You're like, well, they turn and they got to do other things. But if it was half the speed, you just have to immediately question why that would even be. And the other thing that's hard to find sometimes is even the top speed of these boats. They won't even list them. They won't even show. If you try to go buy one, it doesn't even say anything. So given the 30 knot speeds of these boats are capable of, their skippers must have confidence that the machine will not break. So when they say that they're capable of 30 knot speeds, that's, how can you, what if the wind is more? Then they could even go faster, right? You have to be at the whatever you call it, that you're at the behest of the wind, I would guess. And then also with the current. I don't know how slow something is moving to be moving 1 mile per hour? Like, that's freaking slow, right? And I wish I could picture it, because I can't really picture it. I just know it's slow. I'm trying to picture like something moving across your bedroom at 1 mile per hour. How fast would it be moving? So, because that's what they say the current is. I'm like, there's no freaking way. The current of the ocean is 1 mile per hour? No way. No way. Let me look up Southern Ocean current. And then this is another thing they do, is right now I already know what they're going to do. So when you look up the current, everything's in some weird language, and they measure it by, what do they call it? Sevedrups. It's like, right, like Antarctic circumpolar current. I want to show you something in a second after that. All right, severe drops. See, the dominant circulation feature in the Southern Ocean has a mean transport estimated at 150 sevedrups, or possibly even higher, making it the largest ocean current. The current is a circumpolar due to the lack of any landmass connecting with Antarctica, and it keeps the warm ocean waters away from Antarctica, enabling the continent to maintain its huge ice sheet. So they don't even mention miles per hour. Why would that be? Like, everybody knows what miles per hour is, so why are you going to talk about something else? And sevendrups is like the amount of water displaced in a certain time period or something. But what is that speed? And then even if you go try and look for that, let's see here. This circumpolar current merges the waters of the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans, carries up to 150 times the volume of water flowing in all the world's rivers. That's crazy. I don't know what the speed of that is, but I think if you look it up and we look up, oh, here we go. The current flows at a rate of about 4 kilometers an hour, 2.5 miles per hour over the New Zealand area. Evidence of this is the Antarctic circumpolar wave, a periodic oscillation that affects the climate of much of the southern hemisphere. There is also an Antarctic oscillation which involves changing in location. So you also have to add that to their speed, or minus it from their speed, right? Is because that's helping them. So really the boat was going even less speed than we thought, because you're getting a free 2.5 miles per hour. Well, that's only one area. I think they say that the current in the south is 1.5 miles per hour, even less. Let me look up how fast does the ocean move. How fast is the ocean current? But it's just weird to me. I mean, if the Earth were just a globe, all these things would kind of make sense. And when they don't, you have to ask why. Horizontal movements are called currents, which range in magnitude from a few centimeters per second to as much as 4 meters per second. What's 4 meters per second? They love to keep us confused too. It's another thing. Wouldn't you have like a standardized measuring system for the world if they wanted us to, so we can communicate with each other? 4 meters per second is what? 12 feet about. So 12 feet times 60 is 720 times 60 is 43,200 divided by 5,280 would be my miles per hour, right? So, okay, that comes out to 8 miles per hour. See, now we're just getting into crazy things. If that's true, if I did that math right, now you have to think that the current at times goes 8 miles per hour. Now, I'll believe that. 8 miles per hour is at least moving to where I would expect the ocean current to be moving. But if it's doing that, then how are their boats coming back doing 7 knots, which is 8 miles per hour? It means that the boat is going around the world just using the current. Give me a break. I want to show you something if I can get this to come up on my phone. 1 second. I did a video on this. If you didn't watch my video, you can go back and watch it. It was called something about Ventu Sky. I just want to show you this. Why does this thing keep doing this? Enable trust on the computer. Trust. There we go. Now it's going through. I'm going to bring this on the screen for you. So this is an app. I don't make any money for telling you to download this app. It's one of the best payments I ever made. It was like, I want to say it was $4 for the app. Why does this thing keep saying that? Hold on. After permission is trusted. I did say it trusted. My phone's not coming up on the screen. I can't show you. Let me try one more time. Plug this in. But I think it's the best spent money on an app you'll ever spend. And I think it's forever price. It's not like you have to buy per year. Trust. Already did that. Oh, no, it's not letting me do this. Done it before. Okay, there we go. Now go USB connection. It is connected. Okay, we're not doing this today. No device detected. Huh? Let me just check a service real quick, make sure that my Ben Jeweler's on. But
over on Rockfin.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mike Westian, tip $20, says, "Hey, Jeran, your comments and perspectives on the science are brilliant. Don't bother with the haters. I will send positive energy.
Thank you.
Exploring the Antarctic region is dangerous. The experts should have already properly documented the 24-hour sun."
Agree.
Yeah, that's what I've always said, Mike. When I went looking in 2015 for anything about the 24-hour Antarctic sun, there was zero anything.
The thing that's bothersome, have you heard people say that, like, oh, what do you mean you became a flat earther because of the 24-hour sun? Like, that has nothing to do with me becoming a flat earther. I'm like, well, yeah, you guys got here way after, when we had to actually go through the process of getting to this point. Like, people are just like granted the flat earth, like, here you go, and they just showed up and they're like, yeah, we're flat earthers. And then when you bring up that, they're like, what, that has something to do with flat earth? It's like, yeah, we wouldn't have been here. None of us would be here if it wasn't for that. We actually had to figure that out. Like, it's so funny that they just act like it's not important or doesn't have something to do with it.
Dude, all the hours and stuff you put in, how much did you pay for footage? Or no, that was of a spacewalk.
Oh, yeah, that was, well, I ended up being somebody who donated most of it. But
yeah, you contacted them down in Antarctica multiple times about, hey, can we get just like one day
Yeah,
of a 24-hour feed.
I read that
Keep
email the
cutting
other
it
day.
8 hours every day.
I read that email again the other day. It was hilarious because they just were beating around the bush and they're talking about like, oh, well, when it's dark out, then we don't like it. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the 24-hour cam in the South. It's sunny there. There's no
When
dark.
It's supposed to be sun.
And then she
all
comes
day.
back and she's like, oh, it's in the script to get rid of empty frames. I'm like, there is no empty frames. What are you talking about? And then they eventually, like some other guy started emailing me and he told me, oh, you need to go to your government and ask. I can't ask the NOAA, I guess, for whatever reason. All right, now I started this. It should work now. Let me bring this up. Trust this computer now. Yes.
You need to go ask your government. It's like,
oh boy,
yeah,
that's
to a government entity.
And that's another thing that keeps being said. I heard it by this guy, that guy Creaky, Jeran's going to Antarctica. That guy, I can't even do his voice. But he said the other day, like, oh, see, these guys are all, flat earthers all say that you can't go to Antarctica. Now they've dropped that line of thinking. It's like, no, dude, there's a difference between going on a trip with a travel agency and going down and independently explore. Every flat earther says you cannot go independently and explore Antarctica, which is true.
And you still can't. It's
Right.
not like you're going to independently explore anything.
No, and then he said, he's like, oh, and it's, well, you can't go to any other country and you can't go in their country without getting permission as well. So it's the same thing. It's like, no, I can go to another country and I don't have to spend $1 million on an EPA study. That's the difference.
Exactly.
So stop telling people lies, making it seem like anybody can go down there. Sure, you can go down there if you want to spend $1 million on a study that they can turn down. They can decline it. So you
They'll
can
say, oh, nope, that'd be way too much poop. You couldn't carry that.
Right.
You'd have to leave some behind. So we have to
Right.
kibosh this whole thing.
And then guess what happens to your $1 million? Goodbye.
Gone.
It's gone. So that's an effective way of preventing anybody from going down there. And yet it's just baffling to me that people don't see it. And then they lie to their audience like we've been lying the whole time. It's like, no, we never said that there's not travel agencies that take people to Antarctica. Nobody's ever said that. And nobody would say that. So when they make it sound like that, this is my biggest problem with all these guys is that it's constant gaslighting and like almost everything that their audience believes is because sometimes they heard it from one of these head globe preachers or flat earth deniers, and most of what they're saying is just nonsense. Right?
And you know what? It's making more flat earthers.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they know that. but it is.
Just did a video on that, asking the question: are all these, globe experts they claim to be, just making more flat earthers with all these videos they're putting out, looking like idiots? I think they are.
I think they are. I think that that's probably one of the biggest things to increasing it is that there's no way you could watch those guys, especially if you realize, this is my thing too. I've been asking people lately who've been showing up in Telegram and they'll be talking shit to flat earthers and I'll just pop in there and say, hold on a second, will you answer this question? Do you understand why people are flat earthers? Because I don't think if Globers can't get to that point, then I'm not going to talk to them. Like if you don't understand that it's not okay for Stephen Hawking to fake curvature experiments. It's not okay for Nat Geo to have to use a optical illusion to prove the curvature of the Earth. And then we're supposed to believe that people like Soundly and these guys, they just go out and prove it's so easy. It's so perfect that Soundly can go prove curvature. All these guys, they just go out on a Friday and just look out of the ocean. Like, well, fuck, I proved curvature. But yet when Stephen Hawking needs to do it in front of 100 million people, they need to fake it. Like if you can't see that there's a problem there, then I won't talk to you. If you can't understand why people get to the point where they're like, you know what, I think the Earth's flat. You don't have a problem with the fact that they've continued to lie to people about space travel? Not at all. That they tell you, oh, we're going to go to a Deer Moon and it's coming in 2023 and we're going to send people around in 2018 and go all the way back. They were going to sell tickets to the moon in 1970. There were Pan Am was
they did sell tickets.
Yeah, they did sell tickets. Right.
Lots of them.
That's insane. And it's like I just can't understand. It's total gaslighting. If you're going to take the position that the globe is so perfect that there's never been an observation that goes against the globe, that every time anybody observes anything, that refraction magically makes it appear perfectly as the globe predicts, then you're just being disingenuous and not being a real person. And then everything you say is just discounted to me because you're just trying to gaslight people or make yourself look good or something. I mean, why does the globe need this protective team, right? I mean, that's just the worst thing. It's like so funny. Like, what is that? And that's why I think, because somebody asked me, Jeran, if you go down south and you see the sun go behind you, are you going to close your channel? I said, no, I'm not. I was bringing up my channel to say, hey, we're looking into things. Here's my channel. These other guys who started their channel for the main purpose of shutting down the flat earth. That's their main purpose. That's why they built their channel. So it's like, if they get proven wrong, then I do agree that they have to shut down their channel. Like, fight the fat shirt. He can't come, if we go down and see the sunset, he can't just keep his channel and just keep going. It doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? You've lost. It's over. But for us, we didn't like do that. We didn't come in. You're protecting government agencies. Like I've said it a million times before. This is how the world should work. If somebody ever comes forward, a group of people especially, and says, we all think that this is fake. This that they're showing the world, governments are showing this to the citizens, and we think it's fake. The entire population of Earth needs to join those people in getting proof from the authorities. There is no reason why you would then step in between the citizens and the governments and be like, we're going to protect the government. It makes literally no sense. It literally makes no sense at all. You're not needed. It's stupid. We need to have people who challenge the status quo, who challenge the current beliefs. So if you're doing anything to protect that or block that, I have a problem with you. You should never be blocking that. Let the people who are claiming things are happening prove that they're happening. Not you go out and say, oh, I measured this with the theodolite and therefore the Earth's a sphere. No, we don't need you to do that. That's their job. They're the ones making that claim. But I don't know. I can't get this to work. I don't know what's going on with my phone. I had problems this morning too. Sending something to Facebook, it just kept not working. And then I can't tell a story. It's funny. If people don't know, on Wednesdays we're coming up with a new show. Mystery NASA Theater wasn't doing too great. We think it's because people couldn't really listen to it. You had to watch it. So we came up with a new show idea where we're going to have me and Austin Thompson and Mike from THC and Sov are doing the show starting Wednesday. And Conspiracy Music Guru is making the theme song or the intro as we speak. And this morning he sends it to me and I'm listening to it. I was like, okay, let me send it to these guys. So I kept trying to send it through Facebook, and no matter how many times I sent it, it wouldn't show up in the conversation. I'm like, what is going on? I keep trying to send it, not happening. So then I go back to Conspiracy Media Guru. I'm like, can you try and send it to me on Facebook? I'm not getting it through to those guys. Then I start seeing those guys. They're like answering in the chat. They're like, we're trying to, these all seem the same. Well, I guess every time I sent that damn video, it went through. So like in the chat thing, there's like 5 of them and they're like trying to decipher which one is different from the other one. I'm like, telling Conspiracy Media Guru, I'm like, they're over there right now bickering about what's different about each version. That's the same song over and over again. It's like, sorry about that. It's my bad. Let me turn this back on. It's just funny. So they're over there like trying to listen to every version. Like, we don't see any difference. Yeah. Well, it's the same song over and over again. But go ahead and keep looking for that. See if you can find it. Let's see if this works. Come on, USB connection. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to give up on it. Anyway, there's an app called Ventu Sky. You can go on there. You can look up high altitude winds. You can look up the currents in the ocean. You can look up all kinds of things. And they have got webcams, and you can really, the webcams work great as far as, they always seem to be working to me, but they've even hidden. So here's another thing I had to bring up about it. I wanted to show you this. So if I can't show you, I guess I'm going to just tell you. Oh, wait. Now it says installing the drivers. Something's happening. What I'll show you here is they've got these webcams down in Antarctica. So I'm like, oh, this is freaking awesome. So when we go look, though, they have 3 options for the webcams. You can either watch the last 24 hours, or you can watch the last month, or you can watch the last year. But the problem is that the only times that they save are at noon every day. So imagine that. So if you're trying to see if there's a 24, yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like every time, this is what always happens in my research, which is why I'm a flat earther, despite whatever you hear from anybody else. You can say what if you didn't know that, you can say what if, it's allowed. But it's wise because like always these are the case, right? Oh, well, you happen to see, if you would have saved at midnight instead, then you would have something. But instead you save noon. Well, guess what? It's going to be noon at those locations. It's going to be light every day. So it looks like so if you go down there and pan through, well, guess what? It's going to look like there's a 24-hour sun because it's only showing you noon where there is a sun there. Stop. Yes. What's this? Installed successfully. Please click next. Okay. That's funny. And enable trust this computer on your iOS device. Okay. Let's see what happens this time. And if not, you can definitely download it yourself. Okay, this thing's just like in a loop now. It says installing the drivers again. Never had any problems with this. Usually it works pretty well. Say click next. Already trusted next. Come on, connect. It's trying. Connecting. Boy. Nope, same thing again.
What about buoys? Can you get buoy data?
Yeah, they actually have oh yeah, you can I mean there's websites that do to get like speeds of the current and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking that or even just like the height of the waves.
Okay. Yeah, you can get height of waves from. This is what I think all this data is on Ventu Sky. So I was trying to show, but I just can't get it to come up here. Just won't. It's supposed to tell me, trust this computer or not, and I don't see it coming up on my phone. I could try wireless connection, but I don't even know if that works. I've never done it before. Connect phone.
You ever go on a
Oh,
cruise?
there it is. Trust.
Yeah, I have. I've gone to Mexico. How about you?
No, I don't go in the ocean.
You're like, I don't like the ocean though. It's one of the scariest things in the world to me to even think about, like being left stranded out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, you see some of these videos of just the waves, not sharks or icebergs, just the waves out there.
Especially in the Southern Ocean, like they get to be like 70 feet high. It's
60,
ridiculous.
70 feet tall. Yeah, that they happen right off the coast of San Diego. Well, not right off the coast, like 100 miles out or 70 miles out, something like that. There's an underwater mountain that makes these huge waves out there.
Where did you say that was? Where do you think it is?
Off the coast of San Diego.
Oh, okay.
They get
also
huge
something.
waves that guys used to go, or they still do. They go out there and surf them.
The other thing I wanted to show you
by jet skis and stuff to get up to speed.
Another way you can prove with Ventu Sky that everything people say is a lie, as far as them saying that there's no way you could fake cloud data for the Himawari. This app will go. You can go days into the future, and it tells you what the clouds are going to be above your head. So how's that possible, right? So it's easy to predict future clouds. Think about what they've got now. Imagine AI. Imagine the computer systems, the supercomputers. That if you plugged into AI what the weather has been for the last 25 years, just that it could easily predict every bit of weather in the future. Now, it's not saying that it will always be correct. It's going to be off when there's some sort of anomaly or something. But as far as you're talking about cloud data, nobody can go outside and look up in the sky and say, yes, the cloud data above my head matches what's on Himawari. It's just not realistic. Now, it'll be close. Why? Because they've taken real sky data. That's why they launch 2,000 balloons every day or 1,000 balloons twice a day, is so that they can use the Doppler and use what are they called? Radio songs or something. And they put those up there. They get all the cloud data, and it only happens twice a day. But just with those 2 a day, you can then predict the clouds for the rest of the day. So it's very easy for them to get away with the Himawari, even though people want to pretend like, I remember when we had Brian on, and Brian's like, oh, it would take way too much power to get all that. Well, it's like, okay, what do you mean? It would take a couple minutes. So wouldn't that be weird if it took like 10 or 15 minutes for the picture taken from space to arrive on your computer? And what do you know? It takes 10 or 15 minutes for the picture to arrive. So yeah, so it's compiling data. It's putting up those clouds. It's like not a shocker. And people want to, I think even Duffy says that his reason for believing in the globe Earth is because of Himawari, which is just insane. Device not detected. Android. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. It just keeps saying it doesn't recognize my phone. Never had this issue before. Let me just try and plug in my iPad real quick to see if it's going to wake it up. I usually use the iPad in here. Trying to do whatever screen record on the computer. Let's try this USB. Come on, go through.
Yeah, Cami got a new iPad, man. Those things are nice.
Oh man,
they
they're so
really
awesome.
are.
So awesome.
It's weird because everything's like almost different, like the exact opposite
Oh, it might be working.
of PC. So you have to grab the top left. Everything's in the top left corner instead of the top right corner.
Yeah, I
and
do get confused a lot.
little weird things like that. But once you get that thing down, I love it. It's a touch screen. It's got the pencil. You can use
Oh,
your
writing
finger.
on it's sweet. All right, so this did work. Let me move this over here for you. All right, here's what I've been trying to show you forever. And we'll get this up here. Come on. Move up. There we go. See how much you can see of that. All right, so this is my iPad.
yeah.
Basically up here in the right. What are we going to do? No, you're going to use my location tomorrow. Okay, so up here in the right-hand corner, you see temperature, and then you see distance from the ground. But we're going to go ahead and change that temperature to, for example, we'll go wind speed. Okay, so we'll go wind speed, and then we can go here to get our altitude. So you look at now, this one has much better than like the
Oh yeah,
old
way
Earth-
more to choose.
Earth.null school, right? So let's go to 30,000 feet, and now we're going to pull this back. And so now we're getting the jet streams at 30,000 feet, the high altitude winds. So we can come down here, we can see traveling from Australia to South America, you see 135 miles per hour, 102, 140.
And I bet if you kicked it up to 40,000, it'd go way up even.
Yeah, watch this. You're going to trip out. So now we'll go to 40,000 feet. Okay. Winds are going even faster. You see them zooming through there. Okay. And here's your pass. Now, here's what's crazy. Watch this. I'm going to take it to 100,000 feet. Okay. I want to show you something. Here's the North Pole at 100,000 feet. Pretty tame. Okay. Just moving. It's very
Real
slow.
tame.
Real tame, right? Now let's look at the South Pole. Okay, now you would think that this changes with the season. It does not. Okay, so how in the hell could the Earth be a globe if you've got one end of it that is flying around? Look at it, 245, 266. These are miles per hour. 243, zooming around at 100,000 feet. So if you put up a balloon up here, you get some nice distance. Just the balloon just going to get up there to 100,000 feet and zoom around.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's gone.
250 miles per hour. So again, how would it be then that we'd zoom back over here? Oops, move this way. And we get this for the north. Just literally makes 0 sense. 0 sense at all.
That's awesome. Right above the equator, it picks up too.
So other things you can find if we go to, and look at all this stuff, thunderstorms. So let's go to the sea. Now let's go with this button. So this is like your second, searcher. So here we can go with, sea, click this one. So now we're going to look at, there's swell height, which again, swell is a big deal. We've talked about swell as being a reason that boats could be behind the curve because people forget that there is a swell, which is a distance that the wave is above the water. So let's go swell wave height. And now let's go, and this is something I found.
Oh, that's in feet. Okay.
Yeah. So if I go down here to like where Wolfie 6020 does his observations off the ocean over here. Come on, move it this way. You're not going to spin? Thank you. So we go down in here. But you'll see that there's like huge heights of swell. 12.7. That's huge. Think about this. It's feet.
That's feet. A big, yeah.
Now, somebody told me that it's actually half that size is the real height. I'm not really sure if that's true. I think it is. So what they're saying is that the way they measure these is you take the low and the high, and that's the distance, right? So let's say the ocean's kind of moving. Well, it's not. You don't take the distance from the theoretical surface of the sea and then up. It's actually from the lowest that the sea is to the height. But that still would be half of that, meaning that the wave is 7 feet or 8. I mean, that's enough that over distance is going to definitely cover boats. So anyway, you got that. You've got wave. Oh, this is another thing I want to show you. So let's look at. Oops, I want to look at current. Where's currents? Okay, currents. So here's your currents, and just I've always found this interesting. So if you go down here, you'll notice that there is no current really down here. Everything's just moving very slow. Right? Look at these all zeros. 0.1. Okay, and then if you go up here to the current here, same thing. I can't really see on my iPad's the glare. 0.3, 0.4. There's little ones there, but it's weird that the currents stop at Antarctica, which I've seen that before. I've been looking at videos of like the coastline. I realized like, wait, there's no waves there. So if we go to waves, let's go to waves now. See,
this is awesome,
dude. It's the best app. Wait till you see the webcams I pull up in a second. Wind wave period. No, wind wave height. Okay, so here's wave height, and then if you go to Antarctica, so look at all around Antarctica is gray, is all zero. There's no waves that ever hit Antarctica, which is just weird to me. Like, why wouldn't there be waves there?
Wow.
Why does the waves just go away from Antarctica? So that's weird. Now let me show you these webcams. So once you get, I think it's easier if we go to temperature. Temperature. And where are we at? Sea surface. It's good. Okay. So as you get close in here, you'll start to see these webcams appear. Okay. Let me see if I find them. Come on. Where's the webcams? Let me find them. Hold on. Do I have to turn?
Do you ever see that movie Time Bandits?
I have seen it before, yeah.
Cami watched it for the first time this week. We watched it. And when they go to the time of legend, they go to the end of the earth and they break through the barrier to get to the where evil is. What'd they call it? We'll just say castle of evil, where the greatest object in the world was. But yeah, it was they run into this like barrier.
So check this out. So this is now I turned on webcams. It was just off in the options, but you see all these webcams start appearing, right? So I thought at first, you know how webcams are. They never work. Nothing works. But watch this. And I'm going to say that now they won't work. But watch. Every one I went to before will work. You have to kind of like get really close and hold it down. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Let me see. My phone is how I usually do. Come on. Let me try my thumb here.
Wow, and they keep popping up the more you go in.
Shit. What's going on here? On my phone, you usually have to like press it and hold it down. There we go. So then it comes up, that exact webcam. And the webcams always seem to be working. Plus down here, oh, you can't see low enough. Let me move this up so you can see the screen below here. Come on. Move that up a little. That one. Let's go to here, left browser. I just want you to see the time thing down below. All right, so this little time slot down here that says updated 21 minutes ago. So you've got 24 hours, and you can actually take this little bar and work yourself back. You'll see down there it says 15 hours ago, 17 hours ago. Okay, so then you can change.
Oh, wow.
You can change between 24 hours, 30 days. So now you've got a month, but the problem becomes if you look at the time, it's going to be the same time every day, which is 12 p.m., right? So, which is still good for some things, but sometimes you might get that little notice, but you can tell it works. Okay, so let's go to Antarctica. Let's see. And there's tons of webcams all over. You probably find a bunch. And I really want to say, I might be wrong. I think this app was $4.
Wow.
So funny. This was like this, and I saw up here it says Albuquerque. I'm like, why the hell does it think I'm in Albuquerque? But it's just because that's listed there. It's like, what? Where's it getting that list from? All right, so down here we go to Antarctica. And again, let's get down here. Here's like, okay, let's go here. This webcam here. Let's get it again. Come on, come up. There we go. So you go here. We're at Davis Research Station. And see here. So here's 24 hours, so we can work our way back. My phone is so much faster than this iPad. Come on. 8 hours ago, 10 hours ago, 13 hours ago. There's the sun there. Okay. Man, if you go back to the video I did, and you can find it because it's like maybe 2 months ago on my channel, and it has Ventu Sky in the description, or in the title. But I found some crazy anomalous things. So we're just going to watch this. I just want to see what the sun does here. So this is in the last 24 hours. So the sun kind of came up, looks like over there. It's coming across the horizon this way. By the way, that is not a sun simulator. That black dot is when the camera gets overloaded. And then it sets. Okay, so that's what it's doing right now. So again, now you can go kind of play with it like this. It's kind of crazy that this is even on this app. So now we'll move it to 30 days. And again, this is going to be at noon every day. What's cool is you can watch what the sun does day by day, which is like this. You can watch the sun move as you go. So you can actually see it get further and further to the right as I move to the right.
Wow.
So you can see that. Now we'll go with every year. And then this is going to be at noon. You see the dates down there? Can you see those dates? Stupid Kofi thing's in the way. You can see, well, it says 8/27/23. And then if I move it, it'll go by a week. So 9/3, 9/10, 9/17, 9/24, so on and so forth. But you can actually watch. One thing I love, I can get it right here. Watch this. Watch the shadow on those buildings straight ahead, those big buildings. As I pull this away, oh, shoot. Maybe it's a little bit later. When you see the shadows are like linear. Where is it? I mean, they grow linear, like not like you would think. Oops. See, but it's going to change from the last time I did this because it was 2 months ago. But when you did this, you got like this linear shadow growth. I don't see it happening now. Where, kind of right there. See how the shadows are growing linearly? Like the sun is simply getting farther away. Not that it's turning or doing anything funky. It just seems like it's just moving further away. So that's that. But again, how funny is it that if we go to find, we'll go to South Pole now. So if we go to find our South Pole webcam, come on, now you're on here somewhere. What?
Do it. Do it.
Where do they all go? Okay, hold on, we gotta wait for this webcam to come back up. But real quick, down at the bottom, I'm gonna move it up so you can see a little bit more. Oh, it's not low enough. I wanted to show you that I talked about the how you can change the date. So you can actually take, there we go. We'll come back to these webcams in a second just to show you. If I go to wind speed, go to 40,000 feet, now we're getting the jet streams. Now you'll notice this jet streams right here says Sunday at 11 a.m. Well, I can go to 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 8 p.m., 2 a.m. Now we can go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So they have like total predictions of the exact speed of the jet streams. Again, it's not going to be exact. Nobody's saying that definitely this has to be. What is this camera out in the middle of the ocean? What the fuck is that? Never seen that one. Okay.
Whoa. Well, that's the middle of the ocean.
What are they doing?
Whole island.
What is that about? Why would you put they put a camera behind a tree?
In nuclear science,
they must have learned this from ISS. Yeah, that's NASA. How do we put webcams up? Just put a bunch of shit in front of it. That's weird. Why the hell would they have that there? I don't know what the hell.
Did it just grow up or something? Can go to like the yearly one thing. See if.
I guess maybe it did kind of grow. Oh. So the brush just grew up in front of the camera?
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome, man. I think that's
That
pretty cool.
is.
Who's in charge of this? You guys got to get out there and cut your brush. Oh, that's crazy. That's
Or
really-
raise the camera up or something.
or something.
Whatever.
I just saw the
Yeah.
camera sitting out there in the middle of my. That's the ocean. What's
That's a
going on?
cool picture, though, of that.
So here's another one out in the ocean. Looks like, oh, that's on Hawaii. But look at this one out in the middle of the ocean. So it's the coolest app, and I think it's $4. I mean, maybe somebody's telling me it's $9.99 or something. But you buy it once and it's done. Looks like it's always updated. What's going on here? Station. This one, Hawaii. Oh, this one's just out in the ocean. Look at this. Wait, what's going on here? I've never seen this screen. I don't even know what this is. Report a problem. Yeah, your webcam's not working. What's going on? I don't know why that's happening. Try again. This is a Hawaii one.
Oh, probably up on top of the mountain.
Oh, the Maua, whatever it's called. Not stars, they're broken pixels, we're told. Oh, that's an ugly day. It's the whole day. Let's go to a month. So I think it's well worth the investment, especially because
Yeah, the
it's
amount of
useful, too.
research you could do with this thing.
Yeah, look at this. This is crazy. This is that land over there in the distance? It must be, huh? See that land straight ahead?
Oh, yeah, it looks like another mountain.
Where's the sun? So see, that's what's weird about this is taking 12 noon every day. So if the noon sun is behind you or something, you'll never see it. In here, let's go to a year. Come on.
And there's not even anything to see a shadow from, really.
No, but there's so many webcams. I mean, if you start, and I was just shocked when I started playing with this that I would never find ones that didn't work. Like,
And NOAA, 360 cams. Come on.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, somebody asked me like something about that. I was like, oh, you can bet your bottom dollar that if ever, they should have a 24-hour camera at the South Pole. They should have had it years ago, and there's no reason you wouldn't have it today, unless it doesn't happen. It's the only thing I could think of.
Unless you're hiding something.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. And you know what? My wife brought up a good point. She was talking and she said, you know what I think they do? She goes, what if they hire people to work down there that aren't even smart enough to realize what the hell's going on? And I said, you're exactly right. We forget that we're very involved in
guys
this.
at NASA.
Yeah, we're very involved in this. And so we feel very connected, but we don't remember that there's so many people out there who don't have a clue. They're still capable human beings. They can still do a job. They can still go to work and raise kids and everything, but they really don't have the mind to even go. So they probably interview these people and they ask them like, and do you know whether or not the sun is in Antarctica? I think it is sometimes. All right, that kind of person, you'd be like, you're hired. Because that person isn't going to notice any anomalies or even be able to grasp it. They're not going to be able to even.
Yeah, they don't even know what if there was an anomaly or not.
No, they wouldn't even have, and they don't care. It's like,
It's just Antarctica. Yeah, I got to go take care of the boiler now.
Right, I'm just a worker. I just do what I'm told to do. And we even know that from like people like Robert Shortman and those guys that we know that are flat earthers that went down there, is that they all say like, well, I didn't really pay attention. I didn't even care. Like it's not even on somebody's mind. And I think that that's kind of what they do with these astronauts too, is some of them are just easily, like we talked about, hypnotizable. Let me see. This is
Yeah, Cami wants this on her iPad.
Yeah, get this. Ventu Sky. What is it? Sorry. What if you press the play bottom left after you change the dates? What if you press the play? Oh yeah, I can show you. So if you mean like change the date to a year? Yeah, it still does the same thing. It just plays it like a video. Which I think sometimes because it's too CR right now, you can't even tell if it's changing. I have better luck when I move it with my finger. See, I don't even notice it's playing here, but you'll notice down at the bottom it still says 12 p.m. Oh, now you can't see that? Hold on, let me move this up a little bit.
Yeah, I see the date.
Wait, why can't you guys see? That's weird. It's on my
Change
screen.
it. That's
Oh,
the
you do see it.
weekly
Sorry,
one?
I didn't see that. I did see it now. Yeah, see how it's staying at 12? There's no way. I even tried to like tap that or like change it, but you can't really get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So where is this at? Were we up in the north or by Alaska? I just have better luck when I do it with my finger, usually. There you go. So I can actually move it scene by scene. Whereas when I press play, it kind of moves quickly. That's that same location? Wow. So this is in July.
Yeah, Alaska gets green, real green.
Yeah, see, this is 24-hour sun here. Would be around this time from about here. I think, isn't that where Bob saw the 24-hour sun from northern Alaska, I think? I think that's right.
Yeah, I forget the name of the town.
Yeah, I forgot too. What's that little stick there, or whatever that is? That's weird. I almost see like a reflection.
Looks like a reflection, yeah.
Looks like a reflection of a room.
Yeah. I see a vent up top.
Yeah, I
door
see
frame.
little red lights down there. I see a
Mhm.
window. See the window in the upper right there? Not upper right.
Oh yeah, like a vent.
Oh, maybe it's just the cameras inside of a room. Guess it could be that too. Didn't think about that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy though. So yeah, you can go to these, and again, Ventu Skies if you want to get VENTUSKY. But looking at some of the currents and the ways that water moves around the North Pole, I mean, there's so much stuff you could. I mean, you'd be stuck. And look at all these options. So I didn't even tell you everything. So
I wish I could put it on the AE map though.
Oh, so do I. Oh my God. Precipitation, radar, satellite, clouds, wind gusts, air pressure, thunderstorms, humidity, snow cover, air quality. Go there. They even have probability of the auroras. See? So you can go, you know, is there any, so there's no probability of the auroras now. Oh, there's a 10% at there. But, you know, when we had all those crazy skies that people were seeing the auroras way below, I mean, I saw down here in like northern United States, it was like showing like 30, 40.
Yeah, I saw them to the south of me here in
you actually
South
saw 'em?
Carolina. Yeah.
Wow.
Not so great with my eye. I could see a hue to the north with my just naked eye. And then you could kind of make out lights. There was a lot of light pollution, a lot of city right around us. But when Jeran pulled out his iPhone or some kind of phone, I don't know if it's an iPhone or not, but he was taking some crazy pictures and he got like the rays shooting south of us.
Wow.
It was wild. Yeah.
So anyway, and the one thing that would bother you at first is to press the webcams is a little pain in the butt to learn because it just doesn't seem to respond to you. But press it and hold down, and it should come right up. That's what I'm doing when I press these. Let's go find another one. Let's go find somewhere in your neck of the woods. Where are you? You're over here.
A little bit further south.
Yes, you're over there.
Right in there.
So there's any webcams over there. All right, I got some off the ocean over here. Let's go this one. So I'm pressing and holding it, and then it comes up. So it's just it'll be a pain in the butt at first, but. You know, I don't know what happens when this page comes up. This is what happened over there.
I think that's a 360 cam. It's saying east 360 degrees.
Oh, I wonder. So I can't watch it because I don't have a 360 view or something. This says comparison of the image of the last available time right with the image from 24 hours ago, and then you can slide it like this. I don't know what good that does. So you're just looking at one day to the next. But if we change this to 30 days, press play. I don't know. Oh, it is a 360 then. I wonder what you have to view it. Is there like an app? I don't even know. I don't use the iPad much. I don't get apps very much. So
yeah, I'm not sure either.
Maybe if you have a 360 cam viewer, like an app, maybe it opens in that. I'm not really sure. So anyway, that's a pretty cool app for lots of things. What's this app? Or what's this webcam?
I wonder if you could put on the one of those headsets.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even have
view
that.
it and look around.
But I think one of the most shocking things, I don't know if you've ever been, I go to websites before where I found like webcams and they always just suck. Where like none of the webcams work. They're all off. They don't even pick up me. But
there's bird poop all over the lens or something.
Trees have grown in front. Oh no, that's just. But yeah, it's still a pretty cool app to play with, and I think people might like it, and there might be something you might find in there. But let's see if there's any. We'll just check out one more Antarctica, and then we'll close it down. But I think there's lots of reasons to believe. We didn't even look at plane flights. Again, we read that document from the newspaper that said jet streams of 300 or more miles per hour. And just in using that math alone, if you take the flights that are going from Sydney to Santiago, which are 7,000 miles, which are 7,000 miles, and then you say, okay, well, how fast is that plane getting there? And if you go look, you know, I'm just going to do it one time real quick. We're going to go look. Just because I want you guys to see that. It's important.
People are asking about Devon Island, too, on there.
Oh, if there's a camera there? We'll go there and check 1 second. Remember that. Don't let me forget. I'm just going to check real quick. I want to go to flight 24. I don't even know what the site's called. I just type that in and it comes up. Flight radar. So I just want to show this because I think this is plain to see to anybody who just has any intelligence at all. Just pay attention. So I'm going to go to, let me log in just so I can get rid of the, here. Okay, come on, go. Okay. So this is the current, let me get out of here, see? It's not very many southern flights going here, but if we go and find, which this one coming from? Nope, I want that one. I want the QF, I'm going to search QF27. Oh, it's already on here, I always do it. Nope. QF27. It's either 27 or 28. 27. Qantas 27. Is that the one that goes this way? I want the one that goes Sydney to Santiago. This is from Sydney to Santiago. Okay, so look at the times here. You've got 11:48, 12, 12:30, 12:02, 12:39. Okay, so this is your average flight time. So, you'd say about 12 hours, 12 and a half hours. Okay. And you'll notice that there's nothing in the 10s or anything like that, right? Nothing, even 11s, there's high 11s, high 11s. Okay. So let's say it's 12, 12 and a half. So now let's think about that. So it's 12 and a half hours and 7,000 miles. So I'm going to bring up this calculator here so you can see that. All right. So we've got 7,000 miles divided by 12 and a half hours. So your total flight speed is 560. Okay. So now that alone is going to tell you something, because if the plane averages 560 miles per hour, well, then you have to say, well, wait a second, what's the top speed of the plane? Well, the top speed of the plane is probably about, depends on what you agree with, that they do 0.92 Mach, 0.86 Mach, 0.96, whatever it is. But let's say that I think that the speed of sound at that height is like 630 miles per hour or something like that. So that's probably 560 is about probably the top speed, 0.86 or something like that. So just imagine now, we know that there's jet streams that go in that direction. So the plane is getting help. So all you need to do to figure that out is, let's just say 300 seems a little bit high. Let's say 200 mile per hour. Let's say there's a 200 mile per hour jet stream. Well, then what you must believe is either the plane is actually going 360, okay, which is extremely slow for a large passenger jet. So it's going 360, getting 200 mile per hour given to it. So it's netting 560, and that's how it gets there in 12 and a half hours. Well, if we start saying, well, what would it be if the plane was going, say, its top speed, which is 560, plus the 200 miles per hour, which is now 760, times, well, let's go 760. So if I do times 12 and a half, which is the speed or the hours, that's 9,500 miles. Oh, you can't see this. Sorry. So wait a second. So it's only a 7,000 mile distance, but easily it could be going 9,500 miles in that same time if it just had 200 mile per hour jet streams. The thing is, we know that it has jet streams. So what's happening? So we either have to believe that for some reason in the South, they don't want the plane to be efficient. They just give up on that, even though it's everywhere else. And again, if you look at the top speeds of all the planes, they're always in the north. Right?
And aren't some of the times like crazy long?
Yeah, sometimes it can go really extra long, and especially the other way. The other way is like 14 and a half, 15 hours, the one from Santiago to Sydney, because the jet streams generally don't go that way. However, I've got paperwork showing that they do, that every 1,000 feet high, which is a different flight level, sometimes you can have a complete change in the jet streams.
Mm-hmm.
Where they go the other way. So you can find jet streams going the other way. And remember, planes get there via computer. The pilots don't have to, I got to navigate to a shortcut, or no. And I believe that it'd be very easy to program computers to get planes where they need to be. And we all know this happens because you've been on a plane before where you boarded late, you took off late, but you got there on time. Like, well, how did that work? It's because the system knows what you need to do. The whole flight system would fall apart if we just allowed planes to just show up places late.
Yeah, willy-nilly,
right.
Early.
Right.
You can't just show up early.
No, in fact, if you get there early, usually they'll make you circle. They'll just make you do 360s in the sky until they're ready to land. So usually, you won't get there early. So the system manages your flight speed. Now, this is all that matters, is that nobody on the plane, nobody in the pilot seat needs to know the speed. They don't need to know that, because the plane's going to get you there when it gets you there. So to me, I don't think there's even a question of, could distances be longer in the South and it not be known by pilots or passengers? And again, I've even ventured the idea of whether they could go through the speed of sound, and I believe it is possible. We did that interview with that guy who was a fighter jet pilot, and he even said, yeah, nobody on the plane would know. So planes could actually fly faster than the speed of sound, and nobody on the plane would know. Now, again, people are going to say, well, we have to be a different makeup in this. It's like, dude, if you just want to believe everything the government tells you, then that's fine. I'm not that same way. Sorry. I question these things. I look up that Dreamliner, the 789-7, which is the one that always flies here. If we go look at this flight, pull up any of these flights, so go to this one. If I press play, it'll be
These are like special planes, too.
Right. Look up this plane. It's going to always be a 787-9 Dreamliner, because that's the plane that's been reinforced with carbon edges and high temperature this and high temperature that. And nobody cares. It's like, well, why would it be there's just one plane flies down on? Well, to me, it makes sense. To me, it makes sense because, now, I don't know if guys remember, they've also taken something off the site that used to be, I used to be able to drag this during the times where, see how it, oh, you can't, God, I hate how my screen's all small. If I drag this up here, see how it gets black here in this path that the plane's taking? Mm-hmm. So the purple, it's being picked up on somebody's radar or something, but the black means it's lost. It's not being on any, so it just skips that spot and we'll just go over there. But I used to do this, and what I would do is I was dragging it here, we would see this ground speed go up into the thousands. And I used to point out, like, look, it just won't show us that, but now it won't do that anymore. It never shows that. But if we go back to my older videos, we would see that that it does get up into the
Are there
thousands.
little islands out there, and that's why they're able to pick it up?
I don't know. I think it also might have something to do with other planes. I mean, I think Dave Weiss's idea about the network of internet that is the planes, I believe that a lot. Think about it. Like, you can be close to another network, right? Like Wi-Fi works or something like that. Like, really, the airplanes that we send up there could create an internet that you could, planes
there's
ping
enough
off each
of them,
other.
especially over land for sure.
Overland for sure, 100%. But I know out here in the ocean, you really, I mean, we just saw how many planes are out there right now, 2. So I do think that there's enough evidence that tells me that something is wrong. Why would it be that these planes of all planes just don't feel like using the jet streams? And even if somebody says they do, look at this plane's speed the whole time. 605, 640, 540, 560, 630, right? So the plane never went over 600 miles per hour. So what you have to then believe is that there was never a jet stream there of more than 100 miles per hour. If there is, why is the plane not using it? So then you have to ask the question as to, well, is there jet streams going that fast? Well, why is it that if we bring up let's go bring up this again. We're going to go back to Ventus Sky. Oops. Sorry.
And we can't forget Devon Island.
Yeah, I'm going there right now. We'll do that. Then we'll end the show. Land the plane. So now we're going back to here, and we're showing that, if we go to jet streams, which is going to be wind speed, and let's go to, that's 40,000 feet. Okay, but we see that there is jet streams right now of 120, 104, 130, 130,
170,
170,
168.
So it does tell me that if these planes were actually using that, then we would expect to see those speeds.
195 over there. Sorry.
No problem. And then I'm also, so if you take the, so let's take the top speed of a plane, which is, let's say, I don't know, maybe, let's say it's 590 miles per hour. Okay. So if we take 590 miles per hour and we're going to add to that let's just say, we'll be nice. Let's go with 125 miles per hour jet stream. Okay. We just saw a paper. I just showed you a newspaper that says 300. I'll show you another paper written by Harvard that says up to 350 miles per hour. Now, those things are never even talked about anymore. It's completely hidden. And that's what I mean. But if people don't understand why I'm a flat earther, when I'm showing you things that are hidden and you're like, I don't see a big deal. Okay, whatever you say. These guys, they're even saying that paper. They're like, oh, we now know for sure these are the wind speeds. They're like, we've now got them nailed. And they just, now they don't say that anymore. So if we go 590 miles per hour, we're going to add a 125 jet stream behind it. So now the plane's going 715, okay? So if a plane goes 715 and it's 7,000 miles, okay? Remember, we took a slow jet stream by 715. Okay, that means that there should be a flight that took 9.79 hours. But there's never been. It's never happened in the history of a southern flight.
10.
Right. There's not even a 10 hour. So this should tell you something. How could it be that we're being shown the jet streams are a certain speed? They're right here next to the screen. See them? Jet streams are a certain speed. We just took 125 as an example, and we realized that there's never been a plane to do that distance in 9.79 hours. So if that alone doesn't make you go, something's wrong, something isn't right, then you got issues. I mean, it's just something is wrong. Whatever it might be, something is wrong. So my biggest frustration is that I feel like people should have come together 9 fucking years ago and been able to talk things out as men and not this immediate, you're stupid flattards. And I mean, how are you ever going to get anywhere like that? How are you ever going to get anywhere? You're not smart because you believe what men told you. Hate to tell you, it's not a sign of intelligence at all. Zero intelligence comes from being
told. A sign of intelligence is looking at it and saying, hey, wait, there's a problem here.
Right.
We need to
Let's
figure
look into
this
this.
out.
And maybe the answer is mainstream. And maybe the answer isn't some conspiracy. Okay, great. But there's no problem with looking into that. And anybody who's got a problem, because basically what we're being told by Globers is to shut up, never question the current beliefs. And if it wasn't for people like us, guess what? Everything would fall into a deep slavery if it wasn't for those questioning these things. I mean, it's just like the whole Stephen Hawking thing, right? We're showed these things like, look at this is the proof, right? If it wasn't for flat earthers, it would still not be known that that was fake. Think of all the things you could say like that. That it's because we're questioning these things that now they're coming out. Now, how deep does the conspiracy go? We're finding out. But certainly questioning things can never be something that is blocked by other citizens unless they're retarded or unless they've been conditioned to do so. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like these people during the COVID that went around filming other people, not wearing masks or whatever. It's like I can't even imagine the amount of evidence that it would take me to back the government instead of other citizens. Like the amount of evidence that would be needed to be like, you know what, I'm going to trust the government on this one. I'm going to tell everybody else that they're crazy crackpots. That's just, the amount of evidence would be insane. And it's like, we didn't have nearly that. And
I know,
we
it's
actually
like
had
a
the opposite.
social experiment. It's a
a
weird mental thing that.
It had to be, because people are just not, I mean.
No, I mean, my mom taught me that they all lie. When I was like 8 years
Oh,
old,
you're
she said
very
it.
lucky. I was taught that they learn, the teachers at
But
school know
she
everything.
believes them and trusts them when they say stuff.
Oh, see.
She told me they all lie, but then she doesn't apply that own logic when she hears them speak.
Scary. Oh, yeah, Devon Island.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's weird. There's some kind of mental thing with certain types of people that they just, it's like go along to get along.
Wait,
Don't
did somebody
rock
want us
the
to look
boat.
at Diego Garcia or Devon Island? I don't remember what you said.
Devon Island?
Okay.
Yeah, Devon Island. Somebody was bringing up
for like a
see if
webcam?
they have a webcam up there.
I'm not sure
See
which
if
of these.
NASA's got
it might
anything
be
going
this one
on
right
up
here,
there.
isn't it? Don't know what that is. Let me see. Pond Inlet. I don't think that's. Let me see.
I'm seeing a big calculator.
Oh, sorry, my bad. It's in the way. Let's get that out of there.
Pond Inlet.
Let me close these calculators down. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't think that's Devon Island, but I think it's a little further north. What is that thing? Let me go back to 30 days. Sorry, I know my mic. It's hard for me to talk in my mic and then also look down at the iPad. Yeah, it's just so funny to me that, of course, it's 12 p.m. Like, the answer then is in the webcam. So why? It's just so sad. It's like the answer to whether the sun goes around or not is in the webcams, but we can't even look at that up because it only shows noon. I don't see Devon. I think Devon Island's up in this region, like here somewhere. Not really sure. I think you can change the map. But by the way, there's so many options in here because if you go to like the model, look at all these models.
Jeez.
So I just keep it on automatic because I don't even want to get all into that. Automatic model configuration. Look at this. The order of things, the regional models. I don't even know. It's just telling you there's a lot of stuff you can do in there. So let me go one more time down here. What's that over there? Oh. So we're just going to go down here. That's in the middle of Greenland. Just want to see that one real quick.
Oh, wow.
People live there? And right now it should be 24. Wait, what? What month are we in? Oh, yeah, maybe it's not. I was going to say it's pretty close to. There's the sun going. You can see the shadows there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot to learn here, especially for so cheap that somebody can basically. Did anybody get the price? I don't know if you did. I'm sure somebody.
I didn't see.
See, I don't remember why I think it's $4, which doesn't seem right. And then I love apps that are like not. You got to pay every month.
Yeah. Wow, look at all that snow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw like what is that, like a building there? It looks like it moves. But I guess no, it's the camera. I'm just saying. Crazy. All right, so let's go one more time down here. And God, I want to check all those ones out in the middle of the water. But I think there's a couple more down here too. There's that one at the South Pole. It's just so weird. It was just gone before.
Yeah, it never popped up.
Right. So here, the answer should be here. This is the Amundsen Scott. Oh, it does have that thing up in the upper left. I got to show you something if it still works. What the problem was last time, or what I found last time. Go to a year real quick. So when I was moving this last time, this light came out of nowhere on the left-hand side of the screen. Let me see if it comes again. Come on, wake up. Oh, it's there.
Whoa.
Look at that thing in the upper left-hand corner. So weird. So last time we saw it like moving. Look at that green laser there. So again, the problem here, this is a Munson Scott South Pole Station. So we were talking about during December, it should be 24 hours of light. Let's go back to, that's 30 days. All right, let's go to a year. Okay, so 30, we're going to go back to December. Right about there. Okay, and then see how it's only showing week by week, but every day at 12. So if we knew what it was at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., might be able to determine something. Oh, there's that light.
What is that?
I don't know, but you know what the thing is that last time I was able to show people, if you go back to my video, you'll see it, that when I drag this at the last part, that light comes around and like cuts across the top of this. Let me see if I move this down a little bit so we can get it in the screen. Man, last time I was able to get that, draw that, whatever that is, and it was like almost turning. You can't really picture it, but you kind of can. See how it kind of comes down right there? It was like it was like doing this turn, but inside of where I'm at. I'm like, well, how's that possible? That doesn't even seem like, if this is the center of Antarctica, no light should come in and do a turn that way. Let me see if we go to 30 days. See if there's, again, it's not going to be 30 days because.
That looks really high in the sky too. To be.
What is that thing over there? See that? What's moving up in the upper left-hand corner? What would that be? It's in the camera every day. It doesn't look like a light. I don't know what that is. Very strange. So this is this month, so they're not supposedly not getting any light. Oh, well. Now they're starting to get light at noon, it looks like here. So yeah, somebody watch this every day, or you start to learn a lot, I think. But again, if this just showed 1 year and at a different time, like if we could see 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. or something like that, then I think it would tell us a lot. But of course, they only show 12 p.m. and there's no way to change that, even though we know that they have the footage from then, because they do the footage, if we go here, every hour, right? So if they've got footage of every hour here, then they've got every hour of every day. But they just, I don't know what they do with the footage. See, this is going 20 hours, 19, 18, 17, 16. So they are taking pictures. Sometimes you get these, like dead periods, but usually it comes back, come back. Hello? So that's weird. There's it there. So, I mean, it's just weird. The times that they're showing it no camera should be when the sun's right there in front of you. So they never even show the sun, even though the sun has to come from somewhere. But they don't even show it coming in. They just show it from here, where it actually looks like that's not even... You can tell the sun's to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird that it would have to come always from the right. So it's like right when the sun should be coming into view right here, that's when the camera shuts down. Now when it comes out, the sun's already moved past the screen. Now it's over on the left. So I find all kinds of issues with these things. Let's go more data, 30 days. And see who's here. What do they do with that laser?
I don't know. That's weird.
Very weird. So yeah, I wonder if there's any kind of archive or some of this, somewhere, I don't know, if Ventus Guys shares it or wherever this web, because these aren't even the webcams that show up on the site that I've always showed people, which I wanted to show today too, just to show you why we think it's expanded, obviously, because when I went to that site for webcams, all you find is the ones that are cut off every 8 hours. At least these, well, kind of did just show us that, right? This part here is broken. It's about the same thing. Look at that green, almost looks like an aurora back there.
Yeah.
So, again, this is going to be a tough one if you find, there's a bunch out here though. I've seen maybe 6 total. And sometimes they turn off when they're like, come on, wake up. Where's the other one we saw earlier? Oh, there's this one. Let's try this one. I don't think we've seen this one yet. Davis. Trying to think of where that's at. Davis. This should be dark now. Oops.
Oh, it didn't want to play.
Yeah, it almost ruined my perfect record. Come on.
.au.
Oh, now it's given up.
So
oh yeah,
it's an Australian.
Antarctica.gov.au. I wonder if there's webcams on that page. Look, Antarctica.gov.au. I think I've seen that site before.
Yeah, and they've known about, that, what is it, the Ricardo Monte? Or I forget the actual name of it. The map that was all sewn together.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the
one. It was
one.
a bunch of, they had like kings, like this was their territory to guard in Antarctica on the map. There's kings going all the way around the outside of it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And obviously they knew the coastline of Antarctica way before we're told they could have, right?
Well, yeah, on that map, it's got like lands with cities, and there's like all kinds of crazy beasts out there. look like dinosaurs and stuff like that on the map.
Right, dragons and stuff out there.
Yeah, it's a really wild map.
Video gallery might be in here. I'm just seeing if there's any webcams. I don't see them yet. This is some video, Antarctic video gallery. I don't see any webcams. I know there's other webcam sites though, but I mean there should be a lot of that stuff. They've got a 24-hour camera on Andy Warhol's grave, but we don't have a 24-hour camera of the 24-hour sun in the south. Andy Warhol's grave though, that's fucking important. Doesn't make any sense. Sounds of Antarctica. No. And something that I've
and we're in 2024 now. The whole we don't have enough bandwidth and this and that. Come on.
Run a undersea cable. Go ahead. Is that a whale?
Wow, that is.
Tell me it's a boat. That's enormous. What is that? Holy shit.
So I don't go in the ocean. Another reason.
They'll eat you in a second. I forgot who I was telling. He's telling somebody that I was like, we're talking about religion. I basically said, man cannot live in a fish, dude. And he's like, oh no, I'll show you a report. And sure enough, there's a report that a man got eaten by a whale and lived in there.
Yeah. And lived, yeah.
Like, what?
Those things are huge.
Wow,
enormous. You see those killer whales off the coast of I think it's Portugal and right in the Mediterranean out there.
Wow.
They've sunk or attacked like 700 boats.
Really? The orcas?
Yeah.
Wow,
Since 2017 or something like that. They've attacked 700 different boats. And they always go after the rudder and disable the boat. And then they'll ram it.
Wow. I still think it's crazy to even think about. Like, this is how, I guess, demented humans are or whatever. But, like, who got the idea to go train an orca? Who was the first person that's like, see that big fucking whale out there? I'm going to go get him and make him do jumps in a cage.
And we're going to make it do tricks
what
for
the
us.
hell is going on? I want to know who did that. And you know what? The only way you could do that is to absolutely break that animal. It's the only way. So they have to whip them and then beat them and all kinds of shit till they just have nothing left to live for. And then they just do whatever tricks you tell them to do. It's the only way I think it could work.
They can't keep a great white. A great white, they can't break them.
Oh, they won't let them, huh?
They won't live in a cage.
Yeah, probably not. Well, only when they're little. Like little babies.
Yeah, no, like a grown one that they've caught out in the ocean and tried to bring in, they never live very long. They'll sit there and bash their body, their face into the side, try to get out and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like those orcas. The orcas like jump up and do these little tricks, and it's like they never like land on the fucking plexiglass, like shatter it and kill everybody in the car. They never do that. Just to jump perfectly. Like, who thought of that? I just can't imagine me thinking.
And those orcas always end up attacking the trainers.
Yeah, usually
they move them around. It's like,
I don't know if this really seems very accurate. This is 1 hour difference.
Whoa.
See, this is the kind of thing we're talking about, though, right? We sometimes say that in the South things move faster. I mean, just here in the North, this is unheard of to us. What do you mean? How could this be an hour difference? Doesn't even seem possible. But I guess in the South, I hear that things move quickly like that, which could have something to do with a faster sun.
Got light real quick, too.
Let's see if we go back to 30 days. This is basically I saw out in the ocean, kind of. Oops. Come on, move. Oh, thing moved. So
yeah, it's easy to see outside an hour before the sun comes up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And especially
Around
during
here,
summer for sure, right? And I'm still a believer that I just don't know how we're going to measure it yet. I have been talking to somebody who's going to help kind of with the idea, because I do think that if we could show that everybody on Earth is going through the same thing, like right now, I predict easily that because we are heading towards December, that everybody on Earth is getting less time after sunset. And it's not the way it should be happening. According to the globe, we should be getting less time after sunset, and the South should be getting more time after sunset. But it's not true because of the speed of the sun. I think that the sun is going faster and faster every day, which is why everybody's getting less and less time after sun. And then come December 21st, it'll reverse, and then everybody on Earth will go the other direction. We'll all start getting more time after sun, and it has nothing to do with what they say it does. It has to do with the fact of the sun moving faster and slower. So as the sun moves slower, then everybody on Earth gets more and more time after the sunset because it's moving slower, not because of whatever the reason is. All right, let's head out. What do you got coming up?
Same old. Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern. And then Thursday night, going to try to get something for GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. If not, we've been showing a lot of the Flattoberfest.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of those.
Which is now 5 weeks away.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Real
right
quick.
around the corner. I'm getting excited. I'm
if
going to
you-
get out all my stuff and
Nice. Are you going to play with the sound flame thing?
yeah, the Rubens tube.
Yeah.
I have a voice thing that people can talk into and try to hit notes, and you can look at the frequency in the flames or just play music into it, all kinds of stuff. We're going to try to get it set up for when Chief Crow and them are playing, maybe for a few songs, see how
Nice.
that works.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
and then I've been, what's that? The Cladney plate, where you shake the plate with the sand on it and it makes all the different patterns.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, it's like space. The stuff that they teach about that, like you go and try to research that kind of stuff, it's like, I'm not saying it's nonsense. The frequencies they show do create the patterns and stuff like that, but there's so much they're leaving out. Like, I'm creating patterns at under 100 hertz.
And what do
And
they
they
say?
don't-
They don't even say that happens?
Yeah, there's no mention of stuff like that. You can get all kinds of weird, crazy. I have one that looks like an alien head. Cami calls it the Scream. It kind of looks like the painting.
Huh.
Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff. I'll bring a bunch of pictures for next week. It is kind of annoying though, the way I have it set up. It's in a speaker, so you're actually hearing the tones, which is neat because you get to see it, but they're pretty loud when you get into the higher ones. And it's really loud.
Hey, have you ever seen like where people will show like a faucet running or something and they show the water looking weird and they say it's doing it to sound like, I noticed, you can just do that with your iPhone camera. If you take your
Really?
iPhone camera and just film you pouring the water out of a hose, it looks like it's weird. I guess it has something to do with the frames per minute. It doesn't allow, or frames per second, I mean. Yeah, just try it. Just like take an iPhone and just go hold a hose kind of like in a rainbow fashion with the water and just film it, and it like looks like those weird patterns, like you see little drops moving in weird directions. I think it just has to do with the time. And the other thing that I thought was funny yesterday, my wife had my mother-in-law try Miracle Berry. If you've never tried Miracle Berry, you want to just be shocked at something. Is you buy Miracle Berry, it's expensive. We have a plant that grows here in our backyard, but if you buy it from like Amazon, it's kind of expensive, but it's a little tiny berry. And if you eat it, suck on it for about 20 seconds, you can then bite into a lemon and the lemon will taste like the sweetest fruit you ever had. As weird as that sounds.
What?
Yeah, somebody told me, I'm like, yeah, right. What are you talking about? I guess it's used a lot by like diabetics and some other people that maybe have some, or cancer who can't eat, right? Because it gives bad taste or whatever. A Miracle Berry will make anything taste sweet for a pretty good while. If you've never tried it, you would be shocked. It is incredible because it's just not what your mind doesn't even grasp that. Like, wait, what? Lemons are sour. They're just sour, but you can actually eat a Miracle Berry first, and then the lemon tastes like an orange, and you can just bite into it and eat it.
That's
Miracle
wild.
Berry. Sorry, I said Miracle Berry. Miracle. Look up Miracle Berry. Miracle. We bought a tree. So my mother-in-law was here this last couple of days. Yeah, these are the Miracle Berry. So you get a tree, and then they get these little berries. You might have even seen them around before and thought that. I think they tell you that they're. Like, you ever see these kids, and your parents always told you don't eat those? They're poisonous. I don't know if it's the same tree, but they just kind of look like that. They might even be true. Yeah, but it's this one here, Miracle Berry. So anyway, speaking of plants and that, I'll just tell you what's going on with me. If you want to check out the moringa that I have for sale on my site, but I also have the Moringa Man coming on my show on Tuesday at noon. So check that out. But if you look up the Tree of Life moringa, and I've got like Richard B., a couple other people who bought it from me who have written me and told me all these miracle things that have happened to them, or that they no longer use their asthma inhaler since they started taking it. Everybody says that their poops are more regular or more turd-like, I guess you would say. But this is the Moringa oleifera tree. It is also known as the Tree of Life. Miracle Tree is a fast-growing, whatever. But it's got every piece of it is used in Ayurveda. It's got 25 times more iron than spinach, 17 times more calcium than milk, 75 times vitamin C in oranges, 4 times more eggs and more protein than eggs. So it's pretty crazy when you start thinking about it. Like, what? I thought eggs were the greatest protein. But it's got all these benefits, and I think it's another one of those things that's just hidden from us. How could something like this we never have heard until I'm fucking 44? Doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I didn't hear about it until I was 44. And I was on this guy's show, and he's talking to me about moringa, and then I looked into it, and then he helped me find this supplier in India, because that's where it comes from. But again, increased mental clarity, normalizes blood sugar, appetite suppressant, improves wound healing, detoxification, anti-ulcer, eliminates constipation, improves digestion, anti-tumor, reduces wrinkles with age lines, antifungal, used as an aphrodisiac, promoter of libido, strengthens the immune system, antidepressant, normalizes blood pressure. I mean, it's like, what the hell? So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can go to shop.Jeran. And you can also pick some up at Oktoberfest. I believe Eric's going to be taking some for me. He'll have 25 packages there. But if you go here, Tree of Life raw organic moringa, it is sourced.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I only take one a day. I think that the recommended is 2. My wife takes 2, but I've taken 1. I'm not a pill guy myself. I mean, right now I just take magnesium, 1 of these, and Shilajit, and that's it. But I think it's great. I mean, you can look at the benefits for men: prostate health, erectile dysfunction, fertility improvement, blood sugar control, and then you can just click here if you want to read more moringa FAQs. And of course, I always point this out just so I don't get in trouble. If you want to find out what diseases it can cure, according to the FDA, only pharmaceutical drugs can cure, treat, or prevent diseases. So, of course, this berry plant cannot do that. Only the things made by Pfizer and other things like that can do that. But it also has 92 plus ingredients, nutrients. It's been used for thousands, or what does it say? Treat and prevent over 300 diseases in the world's oldest system of medicine, which is the Ayurveda. So it is pretty awesome. I haven't had anybody complain about it yet. Run Boston Bear said he liked it. Rose 777 said she likes it. Richard B said that he's not using his inhaler. He said he's 61 and thought that his health would continue to decline as he's been 61, and he says that he thinks that this has helped turn that around. So that's just his opinion.
Awesome.
But yeah, check that out. You can just go back to shop.jeranism.com, and it is free to ship to the United States. So just click there. You can pay crypto, you can pay Cash App, PayPal, credit card, all kinds of ways to pay. Just fill this section out of here. Reach out if you have any problems. So that's it. So Tuesday, I've got that guy, the Moringa Man, coming on at noon. Then Wednesday at 4:20, we're doing the first episode of the Couch Lock Chronicles. That's what it's called. That'll be fun. It's got a little wheel of spinning of fun and enjoyment. Let's see. I'll bring that up real quick and spin.
Can you grow that here in the U.S., the moringa tree?
Here's the crazy thing about moringa, yes. But here's the crazy thing about miracleberry. Miracleberry, you're not allowed to use as an ingredient in any product in the United States. Now, at first I was like, what? But now it makes sense, because you could literally sell dirt, put the miracleberry in there, and it would taste sweet. So I think it's actually a good thing. You don't want them putting just dirt in a bag and being like, look at this candy.
Like crap, and then put a little bit of that in there, and everything tastes great.
Right, because it just changes the speed of everything. So this is the wheel that basically we'll be using on. I know it's not keyed out, or I'm not using chroma key right now, but basically we just have this huge list of topics, and it's going to be Sav from Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, Mike from THC, myself, and Austin Thompson from Melodome. And every 15 minutes, we're going to have a 15-minute clock. We spin the wheel like that. And then we're going to have a topic to talk about for 15 minutes. And be high, which is fun.
Yeah, these are fun. I have a lot of fun listening to you guys do these.
Yeah, it should be fun. And shut up, stupid music. And then we want to give a prize away. So, Craig, stop. Let's go.
That's a big wheel, too. Look at that.
A lot of things on there. Yesterday, I spun the wheel at the end of my show, and it came up podcast. I'm like, oh, great. Way to go, wheel. That didn't excite anybody. Give me something good this time. Don't be podcast. Don't be podcast. You rock.
Iraq.
Well, now we got to go through this, because the first 2 rolls have not been fun. Iraq and podcasts. Okay. Anyway, we had people in the audience throwing things at us, so here's a little better look at it. Denver Airport, Dumbs, Meltology, Rockefeller Textbooks, Disney, CIA, Oak Island, Pizzagate, WWF, O.J. Simpson, Human Trafficking, Kamal Amir's, DARPA, you name it. So there's tons of things on here. And then there's a $50 prize pool tomorrow. So, Wednesday, my bad. So we're going to start that out. And then what we're going to do is we think it's going to be like 3 secret words that we'll decide before the show. And then you'll just be listening to the show. And if one of those secret words is said and you're the first person in chat to probably type some number or something, we're not sure what we're going to do yet. But then each of those 3 people who win, then we'll put them all on a wheel. We have a wheel like this, but it just has basically 3 spaces. But it's got, and then we'll spin it, and whoever wins that money as long as they have a Cash App or a PayPal. And then we're just doing half of whatever the super chats are each week, go to the next week in the prize pool. So it should be fun. We are looking forward to it for sure. It is the Couch Law Chronicles, and that should be fun. All right. And then what I've got, the Jeranism show on Friday. And if you didn't watch last Friday's show, please check it out. I'm moving that, at least that show, not the Wednesday show, will still be on YouTube. But on the Jeranism show, I'm moving it to Rockfin only, VIP only, and channel members only. So most people are one of those, either a Jeranism channel member on YouTube or a Rockfin member or a VIP. So if you want to join VIP, wap.com/Jeranism. That's about it. Anything else? Thank you.
No, did you see Shatner said something about flat Earth? Said the Earth is flat.
He said the Earth is flat.
Then he went and said that the people live on the sun as well.
Oh, damn. So that means he was joking?
Probably. I don't know. It was weird. He sounded really serious, though, when he was saying it about the flat Earth stuff.
I thought he was serious, too, when I heard it. But then I heard somebody say that he was
then he's saying
trolling or something,
people
right?
live on the sun.
Okie dokie.
Really? How old are you now, dude? Really?
All right, guys, we appreciate you being here as always, and thank you to all the support. Let me check super chats. I don't think I saw any, but maybe I'm lying. Let's see, it was my job. Justin Johnson, thank you very much for the 5 GLOBEBUSTER memberships.
Justin.
And let me check Ko-fi to make sure I didn't miss anything there. I'm not positive. I always forget how you find these. I don't think so. 6 days ago. Okay, we're good. All right, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Remind you, be kind to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There is truth inside. Bob, we miss you. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Till then.